Guys that are big name Pujols are out in L.A. with the Angels, and they're kind of forgotten about.
True.
I understand. I'm just saying from a player perspective, that's a marketing thing. Players don't worry about that as much. Now, some do.
Yeah.
Some care about the brand to the point where, like LeBron. LeBron wanted to go to L.A., right? He would have been smarter if he wanted to get some more rings to go to Philly.
Yeah, straight brand move
right?
for him.
But
Absolutely.
it was a brand move. And so I guess the bottom line is it's a win-win because they can still call their shot.
Yeah.
And Harper's going to be interesting to see. I would love to know 25 years from now, however this works out, and say, because Machado got the big deal, 10 years, $300 million, Bryce Harper's going to get a deal that's at least 10 years, $301 million. Because he's not going to take, he's going to get the biggest deal.
Yeah, that's obvious. He wants the biggest deal.
Yeah, the agent wants that, I think, more than the player. I don't think the player cares. But
and that was going to be my question, Brent, is do you think this is more of the agent trying to control the situation?
Absolutely.
Because I don't see Bryce Harper like, whoa, man, Machado got $300 million. I want $301 million. Is it the agent kind of pumping him, fueling the fire a little bit?
I think that's a little bit of a pat on the back for the agent to be able to say, hey, we signed the biggest deal, right?
Yeah.
At least for the time being. But what I want to know 25 years from now is, will he regret not taking the Nationals deal? What was the Nationals deal exactly? Were they really $300 million? And does he regret not just staying there? Because he could have potentially then stayed in one place. And that's a good market. I'm not saying it's a great baseball market. It's not unbelievable, but it's a big market.
Big market.
And it's on the East Coast.
And they've had some pretty solid teams.
You can be a hero there. So we never know. I think we all assume what people want. Like, we're assuming that it's a bad move for Machado to go to San Diego. Well, maybe for his lifestyle and the way he carries himself and his family down there, that's a perfect fit.
True.
You know? I mean, I say it all the time. People say, Brent, when are you going to like ESPN in Bristol? I said, I don't want to.
I hope so, Brent. Don't leave me here by myself, man.
I was kidding.
Me and Cruz, you kidding me? We kill each other. We kill each other.
Turning down those deals left and right.
I hear you, man. I appreciate it.
Hey.
Loyalty.
Loyalty, that's right. So big day on the JU campus. The Icemen are in action tonight. We'll be joined by their coach, Jason Christie. He's a cool guy, coming up in a little bit. But we got some football talk as well. The Steelers don't tag running back Le'Veon Bell. Surprise or no surprise. We got a lot coming up. And we're getting to this next. One, we caught up with Tom Coughlin today. Two, should the Jaguars consider changing their offensive philosophy? Have they looked in the mirror a little bit, looked around the league, and said, we need to be more dynamic? Kyler Murray? You know, there are some thought. Daniel Jeremiah came out and said, hey, I think this fits. A guy that can make 4 or 5 explosive plays with that defense. If you solidify the offensive line, I think that fits. Interesting thoughts. Should they change the offensive philosophy or tweak it a little bit? And you might hear from Tom Coughlin that, well, there's some research being done on that down at Jags headquarters. Hear from Tom Coughlin coming up next here on a Wednesday edition of Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where our no bull pricing and express sales process will have you out the door in a new Chevy fast. No bull means fast, fair, and transparent. It's what you can always expect at Gordon Chevy. And somehow, I fat-fingered the order for 2019 Colorados and ended up with over 100 in stock. So right now, you can get up to $4,000 off. That's the truck everybody's talking about, the Chevy Colorado, only at the money-saving end of Blanding Boulevard and online at GordonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. If you've received a letter from the IRS and cannot pay them, things can get bad quickly. The IRS can seize your bank accounts and garnish your wages. If this is you, contact J. David Tax Law, a local firm right here in Jacksonville. Recently voted the best tax attorney in Jacksonville by Folio Weekly readers and selected as an ultimate tax attorney by the Jacksonville Business Journal. Your first step to stop IRS harassment is a no-cost consultation. They explain exactly your options and how they'll resolve your tax issue. Only trust an experienced and award-winning tax firm to represent you. The fastest way to get started is to call 904-507-4777. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away, also online at jdavidtaxlaw.com. Only trust an experienced and award-winning tax firm to represent you by calling this number again, 904-507-4777.
4777 or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Now you have a bunch of young guys who found out we were all on the trade block. Now that trade didn't go through, so I agree with Magic, and you got to put on your big boy pants, but we all don't know how everybody's going to deal with it.
Golic and Wingo, weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. on ESPN 690.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Hey, welcome back here on a Wednesday edition of Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Hope you're having a great Wednesday, everybody. Brent Martineau along with Austin Lane. Coos is in the house. Is the NBA ever going to play again?
No, man, it's in their break, although it feels like it takes forever.
I mean, seriously, like, I haven't even looked at the schedule. When do they play again?
I think the Magic have a Friday game off the top of my head.
They take that much off.
They do get like a good week, yeah. They take a week.
How about that? That's disappointing for the Drive and Dish podcast.
Well, that's why. No, that's the best part for us is we can get into these weird conspiracy theories and stuff. Like that's why. What was it? Joel Embiid talking about how he's out for a little bit with a sore heel or something, like sore knee, I think it was. I was like, oh, where'd that come from? He's been on break for a few days now.
What? Give me I didn't ask you this on Monday. I think we were talking a little NBA, but what is your fearless prediction about the second half, Eastern Conference, Western Conference, whatever it is, that you have for what's going to happen that might not have happened yet or already has happened? Is it the Sixers? They're going to win the championship? Is it Boston's going to come out of nowhere and the glue's going to get back together? I mean, what do you think?
I actually think the Magic are going to be the exciting thing for the second half.
Really?
They kind of, a few weeks in, they kind of started. I think they're the one team that really makes sense of all the teams that are kind of fighting for a playoff spot right now. Like, I don't have the standings in front of me, but I know the Magic are close, if not already there. And they're the one team that's like kind of younger, and it makes sense for them to make the playoffs and really make that push. So I think they're going to be the fun team to see. Hopefully, have a better second half this season.
That will be interesting. All right, back to football talk. I asked right before the break, and I've got to finish my teasers and deliver.
There we
go.
That's
what it says in my notes.
Yep, and that's what it said on my whiteboard yesterday before we left.
By the way, what the whiteboard magic? What you got?
Oh, I just said, since we're talking to the Jackson Iceman today, I said, hey, Iceman, my contract demands just went up because in honor of Manny Machado and Bryce Harper, I'm feeling, hey, I'm not saying I'm the Manny Machado of minor league hockey, but I'm not saying I'm not either, Brent.
Or you're the Manny Machado of whiteboards.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Submarine Mike might have something to say about that.
Well, hey, hopefully I'm going to see him at a game pretty soon.
They are home tonight, and Jason Christie will join us at 3:45. He's a cool guy talking about some Iceman hockey and maybe if they should recruit the A-Train.
Mm-hmm.
But I did ask before the break, should the Jags change the offensive philosophy? We heard Tom Coughlin talk in the fall or as the season was winding down. I think it was like late November, and said, hey, we still believe defense and running the football. And everybody kind of chuckled and laughed or threw things at the wall and said, really? Did you just see that 54-51 Monday night game?
Yeah.
Really? Do you see guys throwing it all over the yard? Do you see Mahomes? Do you see Goff, McVay? Well, then what was interesting is about the next 4 or 5 weeks of the NFL season, you saw defense really play a big role. Mm-hmm. And not to take some away from the offense, but the scoring went down. Things got tighter, crunch time in the NFL in December, and defense really showed out. And then I think you saw a mixed bag of that in the playoffs, and especially the Super Bowl people will point to 13-3. So I think it's very debatable. I think you said it yesterday. Run the ball, stop the run, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can win a lot of football games. It's still the main principle of a football team.
Ask the Baltimore Ravens that question.
But we are at a crossroads of that at times, it feels like, because of the opening up of the NFL game and guys like Kyler Murray coming in, guys like Mahomes coming in. That's that influence of the college football game on the NFL. One, because they play a different game, and that's where guys are getting trained to play in the NFL. And if you're playing a different game, why not adjust to what they've already know and play? And that's what teams are doing more often, going with these younger coaches, the more offensive-minded coaches. So I just simply ask, and I'll ask everybody out there, and you're welcome to jump in, 362-9901. Should the Jags change their philosophy a little bit and open things up a little bit more?
Me personally, I don't think so, because we don't have the personnel to do it. You bring up Mahomes, you bring up Goff, and all these quarterbacks coming in. Well, guess what? They came into great situations. I mean, it's easy to be a quarterback in a Kansas City Chiefs system, and don't get me wrong, Patrick Mahomes is still a great quarterback, But when you have Travis Kelce, when you have Tyreek Hill, when you have Sammy Watkins, that makes things a little easier. So when I see this Jaguars roster, I don't see a lot of burners. You know, I see a wide receiving core that has underperformed due to either injuries or just not being accountable for catching the ball. I see a running game that, you know, the past season just didn't perform. I see a team that doesn't really have that slasher at back where you can, you know, get him in third down and throw him the ball. Like, obviously, Fournette can play that role a little bit, but I like to see him go with like a different direction where it's more of a speed guy that can get out in space and, you know, make people miss. So when we're talking about switch up the offense philosophy, listen, the great coaches in the NFL, they see the talent that they have on their roster and they adapt to that. And when I see the Jacksonville Jaguars talent, what they have on offense, I don't see any use in switching the offense right now.
Well, and I brought up Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network. I think he's really good. Used to be a scout, used to work in NFL teams, and he brought up Kyler Murray a little bit, and to the point where he said, hey, they solidify that offensive line. They have Fournette. They can do play-action fake. And everything works off the play-action. Mm-hmm. Everything, right? I mean, everybody works off the play-action to some degree in the NFL. That's where explosive plays usually come from. It's not just, you know, once in a while you get, hey, great quarterback, throw it to great wide receiver, go make a play. Mm-hmm. But the explosive plays for tight ends and how that tight end has become such an integral role in the NFL offense now, so much of it is predicated on being able to run the football, at least have the threat of it, and the play action.
Exactly.
And Tom Coughlin mentioned that too. He said, we want to be explosive off the play action. So you've got to be able to run the football to set all that up. A guy like Kyler Murray, though, changes that a little bit. It's not just, hey, worry about the play action pass, but now you got to worry about me getting out of the pocket, a Russell Wilson type where I can scramble, I can create time, I can make it harder on defensive backs to cover for a long period of time.
One could argue that Blake Bortles, that was his best asset. I'll never forget when I was playing in Chicago for preseason, we played Jacksonville, and I think it might have been Blake Bortles' very first season. And, you know, obviously I was scouting Jacksonville really well because I want to play well against them because I kind of want to give it to him a little bit, you know. So I remember watching film on Blake Bortles, you know, and getting ready to game plan and whatnot. And it's preseason, but we still game plan. We do all that stuff. And like I said, it was Blake Bortles' first season. And just watching him in the preseason games, man, it was evident that he was a lot better on his feet when he was running outside the pocket than he was in the pocket. And I'll never forget, it was like in the second quarter, they're playing in Chicago. We're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Bortles, you know, it was a play-action fake, and he rolled out like kind of boot and threw just a laser dart about 30 yards down the field and hit side. I forgot who the player was who he hit, but I mean, it was a dart strike right down the field, and I'm like, man, this kid could be something special. So when you say, yeah, I mean, we don't get players in space, well, that's kind of what they've always wanted to do, I feel like, and they haven't done that.
You know, it's a great thought. First, well, one thing before I go, Ben, and you were mentioning playing well against the Jags. Like, did you want to like hurt somebody against the Jags? Like, give us a sense of like how it was. Is there just the competitive juices up a little higher? Is it I want to like break somebody's leg? I want to run into the coaching staff and hopefully they tumble down in pain. I mean, where was your level of hatred for the Jaguars when you're playing against them in that moment?
I'm never gonna forget this. So this was, I think it was the second or third preseason game. So I was expected to get a lot of playing time. And Zach Miller and Evan Britton were on the Bears too as well. So
those Jaguars Midwest.
Yeah. So exactly. So before the game, I didn't really see Evan that much, but I remember me and Zach Miller being in the tunnel together and getting ready to go on the field, you know, in Chicago. And you know, I just turned to Zach. I'm like, bro, I'm not. I don't turn. I screamed to him like, dude, like this is the game. Let's get it, man. And I remember Zach Miller going to me. He's like, they didn't want us. They didn't want us. Let's prove them wrong. Let's prove them wrong. So we're going back and forth and everything. So. Yeah, you're especially a little more hyped up even in the preseason game. And I'll never forget the very first play, and I forgot who the tight end was. I want to say it might have been Clay Harbor.
Okay.
But I can't remember.
Likely.
Yeah, I think it was Clay Harbor. And I was in a
Bachelor?
Yeah. And so I was in a six. Well, I mean, there's different terminology, but I was basically head up on Clay Harbor, and it was a power run. And I drove Clay Harbor about like 5 or 6 yards back from the line of scrimmage. I actually got a call for like excessive roughness or whatever. So really? I am getting a flag on the play. And so my coach was pissed. Yeah, my coach was pissed. But I'm like, hey, man, I drove him back. I did my job. He's like, you can't do the extracurricular, you know, That's all I'm going to say. He said some more stuff to me, but
that's awesome.
So I ended up driving him back. But yeah, there's always a little extra motivation when teams cut you when you play against them again.
Yeah, and I think about it, think about the hostility a guy like now Antonio Brown will have.
Oh yeah,
and that can work both ways. You try too hard, you get amped up too much, and you don't do as well. You have so much focus on that you forget about really worrying about your team and everything else. So it does work both ways. But that's interesting, even for a preseason game. You guys are pretty jacked up.
Me and Zach Miller were definitely hyped for sure.
That's good stuff. All right, getting back to this philosophy, and where did we leave it? Because now I got interrupted. Or I interrupted the conversation.
I was talking about Blake Bortles on the run.
That's right.
They've always tried to.
Good reminder.
Yeah.
Because, Blake, you're right on the money. Even this year, when they were struggling, and the offensive line you knew was beat up, I will say this, but I like Nathaniel Hackett, and I didn't understand the firing at the time, especially maybe at the end of the year, but I didn't understand it when it came. And I think he did a lot of good things in Jacksonville. But I could not figure out. There are two things that dumbfounded me. One was the London game where he threw it 31 straight times with Blake Bortles. Wait a minute. You have a quarterback that you're really trying to protect a lot and don't expose him, and he throws it 31 times.
Well, that was the game I think so. Leonard Fournette was out, though, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And then they brought in Carlos Hyde. But that's a great point, though, Brennan.
I would have handed it to you at least once.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And they lost by 6, by the way. That's not a game that they were down 35-10. So I never get that. And I think that had a lot to do with him getting fired, to be honest with you. That was one of the last straws. I think that raised some eyebrows and red flags around there. But the other thing I didn't get is the lack of mobility, moving the pocket on plays. I really didn't. To your point. I mean, that's a thing Blake Bortles did really well. There's a play, and I don't understand the actual play call. I don't know what the play call would be. But when they roll the pocket to his right, and they would have layers. They would basically have, you could throw it to Fournette short, you could throw it to the tight end, mid-range, maybe 15 yards, and then you could throw it to the receiver who was maybe coming across on a post, deeper. I thought Blake Bortles handled that play very well. I thought he usually made pretty good decisions. I thought sometimes he made the throw well, to your point, on the run. And I just looked at it sometimes why haven't we seen this play in 3 weeks? This offensive line is terrible. We know it. It's hurt. They're banged up. Why aren't they moving the pocket? So, I don't understand why they don't do it more often. To me, that was a strength of Bortles. And I'll never really understand why they didn't do stuff like that a little bit more with him. I mean, we joked about it on Twitter, Dan Hicken and I, every time. Read option. Where is it? Now, sometimes people would say they're calling it, but he's not making the right read or he doesn't want to pull it under. So be it. But we didn't see it enough either, whether that's Blake's fault or Nathaniel Hackett's fault. So there were just plays like that I thought Blake was pretty good at. And you didn't see enough of it. And a lot of it had to do with on the run, which really fits this style in today's day and age.
Well, and it's funny, you talk about this style, this new wave of offenses coming through this, this high-powered, explosive offense. People forget that a lot of these offenses, when you're talking about the Chiefs, you're talking about the Rams, you're talking about the Saints, and I'll throw the Patriots in there too. They're pretty good offense. They're predicated off the run. And then they use that run to set the play action to pass more. If you look at the Patriots, even the Super Bowl, I mean, Sony Michel, he had one of the best playoffs of a running back in Patriots history because they relied on the run to set up the pass. So if we're talking about that, the Jaguars might have those pieces in place, provided the running game gets going a little bit. But that's a great way to get your quarterback moving and get out of the pocket is that play action.
All right, we just got some Tom Coughlin sound in. So when we come back, Tom Coughlin talks about the philosophy a little bit and a bunch more. Next, here on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690, Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and just the day after the Steelers agree that Antonio Brown needs to be shipped out of Pittsburgh, the team's now announced it won't be placing a franchise tag on Lev Bell, this making his exit from Steel City much easier. Lots of people are now looking at the situation, wondering what team president Art Rooney is doing.
The idea that this is in the best interest of the Steelers, how? How is it the best interest of the Steelers to lose a guy that has the only 6 straight seasons in NFL history with 100 catches, well over 1,000 yards each one of those years. He had 15 touchdown catches last year.
The UFC is losing a true class act. George St. Pierre says he plans to announce his retirement officially tomorrow morning from Montreal. GSP is 37 years old. When his bid to fight the current champ Khabib fell apart, he decided he needed to walk away from the sport. And finally, FSU cleans up against Clemson, 77-64. The win is extending the team record conference win streak to 8. Seminoles playing as good as basketball as anybody right now. Tonight on ESPN 690, Butler and Marquette meet in Milwaukee. Tip-off at 8:30.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau of Action Sports Jacks, and if you're considering buying a new car, I want you to go talk to my good friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. They have raised the bar for customer service, and you'll be happy you went to Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. Their no-risk, no-pressure approach really sets them apart. Imagine buying a new Hyundai Santa Fe, but then thinking to yourself, maybe we don't need that much room in the family. Well, you could buy that new slick Hyundai Accent instead. And with Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville's no-risk, no-pressure approach, you could bring that Santa Fe back to the dealership in the first 7 days for your money back. No pressure whatsoever. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville also offers a lifetime warranty that is good anywhere in the United States. The Hyundai you want, the service you deserve, all with Jenkins' exclusive lifetime warranty. Do what my family did. Get a Hyundai and get it from Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. Go check out the showroom and visit them online at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com.
Hi, this is Earl Ron, president of New South Window. New South makes windows that are energy efficient and hurricane resistant. You get both. If you have aluminum windows, it's time to get rid of yesterday's technology. New South is the factory and eliminates the middleman. Don't even think of buying windows until you see what our factory can do for you. New South windows are made in Florida, for Florida homes, by Florida workers, because we know Florida weather.
Going on now. For every 2 windows you buy, get the third free. Visit newsouthwindow.com.
The 2019 Harrell and Harrell Performance Studio is here, and it's better than ever. It's your chance to meet the personalities on the new ESPN 690. Sit in the front row and ask your questions to athletes in town, sports analysts, and experts. You'll be able to see them in person. It's going to be the best year yet. So listen to ESPN 690 for your chance to win your way in throughout the year. It's the Harrell and Harrell Performance Studio. Brought to you by Harrell and Harrell.
From Daytona Beach to Brunswick, now ESPN can be heard loud and clear everywhere on one of the most powerful AM radio stations in Florida. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. This is ESPN 690.
You watch Action Sports Jacks on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Now Action Sports Jacks is on your radio. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
20 days until the Players' Championship. You want tickets for free? All you have to do is go to ESPN690.com. It is as simple as that, and you can find your way to the Players' Championship for free. That's it. The Captain's Club at the Players. Weekly passes win a pair by going to register at ESPN690.com. Speaking of golf, a fantastic event last night, celebration of golf at San Jose Country Club. And I had the pleasure to be the MC of that event. 250-plus people in the golf world here locally. So many that do a fantastic job. And big thanks to them for having me, but also a thanks to all those folks in the community because they do a lot in terms of supporting, whether it's our radio station endeavors or TV on CBS 47, Fox 30, but also our Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 golf tournament and initiative that's now going to be 10 years old this year. So we appreciate all that. Len Matisse, former Nice High star and professional golfer, was the keynote speaker, and Ann Nimnicht was given the Dean Beeman Award, well earned. 50 years of volunteering, a well-known name in Jacksonville, and they had a record crowd basically because of Ann Nimnicht being there and getting that award. I mean, that's how appreciated she is in the city of Jacksonville when it comes to golf and a lot of other things, charity, of course. So Players' Championship just a couple weeks away. Looking forward to it. We'll be out there all week long live. And again, you can win tickets to the Players' Championship in the Captain's Club. Go to ESPN690.com. Brent Martineau along with Austin Lane. Coos here as well. We're talking offensive philosophy a little bit. So before we hear from Tom Coughlin, coming up in just a moment, would you like them? So just yeah or no, do you think they need to change or at least tweak this philosophy?
What does the whiteboard say, Brent?
Man, you don't. You're stuck on this. Are you trying to get hired back by Coughlin and Marone?
I just might be. No, that's the last thing I want to do is coach football, unfortunately.
I thought maybe play again.
Oh, no, yeah, maybe. In that case, yeah, let's put up the whiteboard again here.
The whiteboard, by the way, said run the ball, stop the ball, enough said.
Yeah, we have the team to run the ball. And when I say run the ball, obviously, yes, you want to run the ball, but you can set up the play action with the run. And if you set up the play action, then you can start passing as well. But to go to this spread offense, you know, kind of like the Colts play where they maybe run 15 times a game. Andrew Luck's throwing 70, 80 times a game. It's insane.
Yeah, the Eagles have been like it.
Yeah,
right? They
exactly.
hardly run. Well, they at least at the end of the year, guys hurt too. But
yeah, so I think with the team that we have right now, you look top to bottom on that roster, especially on offense. Yeah, I'm saying we're gonna be the power running team. We can run some zone, whatever. But then we set up the play action.
If they got Kyler Murray, would it signal they are changing in philosophy, or can you do those things that you're talking about with Kyler Murray?
I think you can do those things with Kyler Murray. I mean, do you want Kyler Murray to run the option all the time and run maybe 25 times a game like Jackson did in Baltimore? Because he's not built like Jackson.
But he's not that. He's a better thrower than
exactly
than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So, but I think you have to put. I don't equate Kyler Murray in terms of style to Lamar Jackson as much as I do to Russell Wilson.
Well, yeah,
I could see, and Russell Wilson's not a guy that's going to run it 15 times a game. He might run it 6 or 7, though.
Only when he has to.
Yeah.
With Murray, yeah. I mean, it's like I said before, the great coaches can see their roster, see what they have, and they can adapt to what they have. If you bring in Kyler Murray, yeah, that's different than bringing in a Dwayne Haskins or a Nick Foles. So if you bring in Kyler Murray, then you got to change the offense a little bit. If you bring in Kyler Murray, I'm seeing a lot more read option, a lot of option pass, things like that, because that's what he's good at. That's what he's going to beat you with. If you bring in Haskins or if you bring in Foles, guys that aren't the most necessarily the most mobile quarterbacks, then it's going to be more, I think, of the power run game, set up the play action. So it all depends what kind of quarterback you bring in, what you have on staff.
Well, here's the deal. Executive Vice President Tom Coughlin was around the area today at a hospital, meeting up with some kids that are ill, giving away some signed footballs on behalf of his Tom Coughlin J Fund. Action News Jack, CBS 47, Fox 30's Ben Becker was over there covering the event. And fortunately for us, he asked not only about the Tom Coughlin J Fund and obviously the impact. They've got the big wine gala coming up on March 8th. But also was able to slip in a couple of football questions as well. Ben Becker, former sports guy, he's savvy.
He's a savvy man, because I'd be nervous to ask Tom Coughlin football questions at that kind of event.
Yeah.
So props to him.
Well, he did, and he also asked a little bit about the J Fund. So here's a couple minutes with Tom Coughlin, courtesy of Action News Jax's Ben Becker.
First off, just how important is a day like today to go around and make the rounds?
It's very important. It's very important on the part of the families to try to make them understand that the J Fund is more than just, someone who stands off. We're right here. We want to be there for you in every capacity. When they're in the hospital, I have to make you understand that what is received is more than what is given, believe me. Because when you come here to the hospital and you see the families and the way they literally live in the room with the child, with the sick child, it puts life into perspective.
Touches you personally.
Touches you very much so personally. It makes you realize why we do this. And it goes all the way back to the very beginning, the objective, having been with the McGillis family when Jay passed away and knowing what they went through and all the time spent in the hospital, so on and so forth. So it just brings you back to the reality of that situation again, and quite frankly, makes you want to do and provide even more help than we do.
A couple football questions for you.
Well, that was a surprise.
So how excited are you to have Dom Capers back in the fold?
Very glad to have Dom with us. Dom was with us way back in the at the end of the 90s, and we had some success. We didn't get to where we wanted to go, but we were close. And his experience, his knowledge, his thoroughness, his detail is going to help the entire football organization.
A lot of stuff coming up, free agency, draft, that sort of thing. What's the mindset downtown at the building right now?
Everybody's full speed ahead. Whether it be working on free agency, whether it be working on the draft, whether it be revitalization of the playbook, going over all the research that people are starting to develop and put together. It's a full speed ahead, because this time of the year is the time when these decisions are made from a personnel standpoint.
Speaking of personnel, where are things with Blake right now?
Blake is the quarterback with the Jacksonville Jaguars right now.
There it is. Tom Coughlin with Ben Becker for a few football questions, along with the Tom Coughlin J Fund. Thanks to Ben for asking Coach about a couple of the football topics. And I think if you listen close in there, you could – the self-evaluation part happens every year. We'll talk about the Blake part in a moment. But the just to stay on our topic of the philosophy and does it need to tweak, there's no doubt there's a self-evaluation that goes on all these guys. They do it 2 times a year. One, during the bye week, they'll self-scout, kind of a quick version to maybe make adjustments. And then, of course, they spend the offseason not only looking at game tapes for opponents and what they might have coming up, but also rewatching everything of themselves and what they could change and what they could differ. And I think that's what...
Just like we do.
Just like you do. Yeah.
We do.
We do?
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to get better.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what Coughlin was referring to there a little bit. And does that mean with John DeFilippo coming in, and he likes to throw the ball, but we know Marrone and Coughlin like to run the ball. Does that mean a little bit more passing without being pass happy? Where is the happy medium in there? I thought it was very interesting. Ben Becker asking Tom Coughlin about it, for him to say that. Again, didn't say a ton, but the idea that even that's being explored at least perked my ears a bit.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, it's hard to say exactly where they go, but Brent, I preached it, a lot so far in this episode, but I'm going to say it again. You have to be able to adapt. You know, like one can say Bill Belichick, you know, he's kind of stuck in his ways, and I would say that's wrong because you look at the players that he has and he makes it work for them. I mean, not every coach wanted to go out and get Josh Gordon, and granted that move didn't work out, but he's willing to take risks to help the football team win. So from our perspective, if the choice is to get Kyler Murray, and we have to go, you know, we have to switch up the philosophy, then don't stay in your old ways. You got to be able to adapt a little bit, or we're not going to win games.
Yeah.
You know, so I understand where, you know, you can talk about Coughlin, where he's kind of like the old school philosophy, and that's great, and that's fine. But you still have to be able to adapt a little bit and look at what you have and say, hey, if we have the guys to run a spread offense, or if we have the quarterback to run pass offense or whatever, let's do that. But you have to see what you got.
I think that is a little bit of the perception, though, right? And this is unfair at times, but we say Tom Coughlin, he's an old school guy. He carries himself like an old school guy. That's admired by a lot of people. That's got him to where he is, beloved in these parts at times, you know, revered. Yet we look at that and we see that and see the age and see this old school mentality guy in so many respects. And I think we even feel that about Doug Marrone, minus the age. And we say, well, they don't want to ever change. They don't want to adapt, right? They don't want to. Well, I don't know if that's the case. I think they have a philosophy and a style, and you actually agree at 31 years old with that style and philosophy of run the ball, stop the run, enough said. Mm-hmm. But can you adapt and can you mix it in? And that's what I think we might find out a little bit more in 2019. Hey, you better not just stuff the box with 9 guys because we're going to do some things. I just don't know how you can't watch Kansas City, watch the Rams. With Rams, by the way, who I think is a pretty average quarterback, and watch that and be like, why can't we do some of that stuff?
Back when I played, it was the Houston Texans. They ran a lot of play actions with Kubiak, man, and it sucked to play the Houston Texans because you didn't know what was coming. You didn't know if it was going to be a pass or run because all their plays were designed exactly the same. So you could never tell if it was going to be pass or run. It was hard to play against.
And this isn't just Coughlin, Marrone, and this current staff, but that's, I think, what a lot of people in Jacksonville listening right now would shake their head and be like, well, I can tell you what's coming. Mm-hmm. We feel like in Jacksonville on offense that we can almost tell you what's happening on first, second, and third down. That's not the case. It's not true, but you almost sense that's what was so great about that Patriots game where they just kept throwing at the end of the Patriots game in September. Like, what are they doing? No, run the ball.
Yeah.
Run the ball. I mean, that was one of the most wild experiences because we've always been able to predict the Jags offense. Coming up, a little brief talker about Blake Bortles from Tom Coughlin. Should we read into it? Heck yeah, we should. On ESPN 690 next.
Oye, amigo, it is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Did James Harrison ever tell Ben Roethlisberger to put down the beers and get in a little better shape?
Ben's in good shape.
He is?
Ben looks good.
If you say he looks good, he looks good. That's the deal. We think he runs like a skyscraper, but if you say he looks good, that's fine by us. We'll let it go.
That's a good thing he ain't paid to run. He paid to throw.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
The President's Day sale at Arlington Toyota has been extended. This is your chance to put more presidents back in your pocket all month long at Arlington Toyota. Arlington Toyota has over 1,000 new and used on the lot every day, and they're discounted now with President's Day savings. Talk about saving some presidents. Right now, you can buy a 2019 Corolla LE from just $14,888. That's a pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE from just $14,888. If you want a crossover SUV with some serious style, then you got to get a Highlander. And right now, during the President's Day sale at Arlington Toyota, buy a 2019 Toyota Highlander from just $28,988. That's a pre-owned 2019 Highlander from just $28,988. Arlington is all about putting you behind the wheel, and that includes their new free iPreCheck service powered by TransUnion. It's the easy way to check your real credit without affecting your credit score. No Social Security number required. Save some presidents now at the Arlington Toyota President's Day sale extended through the end of the month. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Allie McNeil from the Best Bet Poker Rooms in Jacksonville and Orange Park. WPT Deep Stacks returns to Jacksonville March 1st. The series features 12 total events with the main event guaranteeing over $300,000. Satellite into the $1,500 main event for as little as $85. Pick up all the bragging rights and cash. Plus, make your claim to fame in this year's WPT Deep Stack Series. Satellites run now through March 9th. For all tournament information, visit them on the web at bestbetjacks.com.
I'm Josh Scobie, proud supporter of the Guardian Catholic Schools, where we believe that every child deserves access to a quality faith-based education. Grab your friends and join me for the 15th Ron Townsend Golf Classic on March 4th at Timuquana Country Club. We will raise funds for scholarships for Guardian Catholic students and have a great day of fellowship. This year's Golf Classic includes a chance to win $10,000 cash and a chance to qualify for the $1 Million Shootout. Don't miss out on the excitement. Visit GuardianMillion-Shootout.com or call 904-765-1920 for more information.
Blake Bortles needs a change of scenery. People need a change of scenery from Blake Bortles. That's not the case in Denver. You can like Case Keenum or not, but it wasn't like, hey, this guy's got to get out of town.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
This is Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau
on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Where are things with Blake right now?
Blake is the quarterback with the Jacksonville Jaguars, right?
Tom Coughlin earlier today talking to Action News Jax's Ben Becker on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can see Ben's story coming up on the Tom Coughlin J Fund tonight at 5 o'clock on CBS 47 and again at 6 o'clock as well, CBS 47 and Fox 30. And since Ben went out of his way to do that, I got to throw in a little plug for him. New segment on Action News Jax, We'll Send Ben. So if you have an issue, not sports related, more news related, reach out to Ben Becker from Action News Jax. We appreciate him asking a couple football questions. We just talked about, Coughlin said, the revitalization of the playbook. That was interesting. Revitalization of the playbook. That sounded impressive to me. That sounded like, oh, wait a minute. They might change some things around here. That's the way we get to read into all these comments, right? And that's kind of the way it registered in my ears. Just talked about philosophical change. You're welcome to chime in on it, 362-9901. Will they change their philosophy a little bit, or will it still be this ground and pound mentality with play action thrown in? It'll be interesting to see in 2019 with John DeFilippo and just some of the research they said they found over the last year and how the game is changing. But right now, I want to talk more about the Blake Bortles comment, and it was quick. It was, he's the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. Yeah. That was it. That's basically what he said. Right now, he's the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's obviously not a ringing endorsement. That is fact at the moment. It also didn't give us a bunch of insight on what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
What do you want him to say? You know?
Well, well, here's the difference, okay? And I agree with you. It's like, okay, what's he going to say? He told you what he is, and he didn't really elaborate on it. And I didn't really expect them to. They're not going to say what they're doing before they have to actually say what they're doing or did. And that will be a big question at the Combine next week to Doug Marrone and also Dave Caldwell, who are scheduled to talk. I believe Tom Coughlin is not scheduled to talk next week. But we will be up at the Combine Wednesday and Thursday of next week here on ESPN 690. But I think in the past when asked that question, say a year ago, there was this endorsement for Blake. There was, even at the end, toward the end of last season, there was more of an endorsement. I don't know about last season toward the end, but maybe in the middle of the season. We got 5 minutes or a call away from the Super Bowl with Blake Bortles. That was kind of the mantra in that building. There was this endorsement. Anytime you asked about Blake, it was that endorsement. Well, what changed over December into early January when he got benched a couple of times, Doug Marrone was the voice of the brass at that time and said, hey, we're going to evaluate everything and everybody, and we all know where we think it's headed. So what is he supposed to say? The only other thing he could have said that would have really raised a lot of eyebrows and been like a stunner is something to the effect of, hey, we've got him under contract. This guy's still our quarterback. He didn't say that. And so I think it does lend to what everybody already kind of knows. It's going to be anticlimactic, most likely, when the Jaguars release Blake Bortles. But that's the prediction across the board. There's very few people that think Blake Bortles is going to be hanging around in March.
Absolutely, and I don't see a lot of teams trading for Blake Bortles either. I mean, this could be a reason why they're hanging on him for this long. Just
they'll do that.
Yeah, just to see if there's any suitors available. But I think when it comes to needs of quarterbacks around the NFL teams and the fact that there's other free agents out there, I just don't see a team trading for Blake Bortles.
Yeah. So anyway, Tom Coughlin commenting on a couple of things. I still think the Blake Bortles stuff probably not surprising the way he answered the question. I thought he did check in on Dom Capers as well and told you the attention to detail, and that's something they do want to get back to. Attention to detail is a great phrase, and in football and in sports and really in any place, it's an easier said than done thing, right? People can claim that they're paying attention to details. You can do it better on a Tuesday than you do it on a Friday because you're heading to the weekend. You can do it better in September when you're 3-1 than you can when you're in December and you're 4-9. And so, although it sounds like cliche, maybe the Capers move does help Todd Wash hone in on some things from this defensive unit that's loaded with talent, but maybe not loaded with the attention to detail, and missed some of that last year, and maybe that's why they weren't as good.
Especially when you're talking about Wash, being here for a couple years now. I mean, he's kind of ingrained in the program, you would say, and bringing a fresh new pair of eyes that hasn't been around, that doesn't know how things operate, and just to try to give his 2 cents in, I think it's only going to help the team.
Yeah, it can hurt, right? It can. Though you can't have too many voices, right?
You can, but and it's like I said yesterday, I don't think Capers coming here is going to be the fact that, he's trying to be a defensive coordinator as well. I think he understands his role, and I think he will abide by that role because, like I said, if you want to be a defensive coordinator, would have went to Cincinnati or would have went to someplace else. So I think he understands his role. I don't see it being, the quote, like there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I don't think it's going to be like that at all. I just think it's an extra pair of eyes. It's a fresh face. It's a fresh philosophy, and I only see that helping.
I'm still interested to see how this whole thing plays out in Jacksonville. Last year 2 years ago, was an amazing success, right? It was a 180 from Gus Bradley. It was bringing the guy that brought the Jaguars to all the glory they had ever been in, essentially, in Tom Coughlin. It was, Doug Marrone was a better hire than we thought. You know, I've heard a lot of people saying everything clicked. It was a group of players that just were starving to win, man. I mean, they had lost so much, and you wondered if they could do it. But man, the chip was on the shoulder. They were hungry, and it was just this perfect collection of Coughlin, grit. I want to win lunch.
It was the old school philosophy.
It was all that, and they needed it.
As opposed to the new school philosophy that Gus Bradley had. Like, everyone wants to say, like, yeah, let's go young and everything. Let's get these young coaches up. Cool. But we had that. We had Gus Bradley, who kind of, and, I only played for him for a little bit in the spring for OTAs, but I kind of gathered his coaching style and his personality, and it was fit to be more of a player's coach. Absolutely. And it was the younger philosophy. So we had that in Jacksonville, and you saw what happened.
Yep. And then you get the 180. But wait a minute, that worked. But then it didn't in 2018, which is fascinating to me, right? So what it does to me is it overplayed the style thing. It overplayed. What I keep continuously saying when we talk about this kind of stuff is stop overlooking the players, people. It's a player's game. Players can make a coach look really good or really bad. And that's not to dismiss the coaching. There are some coaches that are better than others. Absolutely. Coaching matters. It does. The whole thing, the culture, the everything matters. You almost have to push every button right. And what happened last year is buttons weren't working when pushed. And I give Doug Marrone credit because he didn't just sit on his laurels and say, hey, this worked last year, I'm going to keep pushing this button even though it's not working. He tried to change stuff. And every time he tried it, it just didn't work.
And he was always a guy to take the blame, too. Like, he never blamed anybody else. I mean, he was literally laying on top of grenades every single week.
I know, which actually also got old.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But so where am I interested in seeing where this is going? The reason I'm interested is because when Tom Coughlin came in here, the parallel to me was Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells went down to Miami, and he was with the late Tony Sperano at the time. And I think that was 2008, I want to say. Excuse me if I don't know the year off the top of my head, but it was right around that time. Miami stinks, they're not doing anything. Parcells comes in year one, 11-5, make the playoffs in that division. I think that was the Castle year. Mm-hmm. Got a little fortunate, right?
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. What does everybody keep referring to? Jags got fortunate, played a bunch of backup quarterbacks in Houston and Indy and blah, 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 blah. Well, Parcells, Sperano go to the playoffs, 11-5, and go to the AFC Championship game. But might have got a break or two here. They brought this Bill Parcells, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did nothing after it. Did nothing. And part of their fault was, I got to go back and look who they drafted. That they drafted somebody they shouldn't have drafted instead of whatever. And they're drafting then as they were trying to get the franchise QB or passed on the franchise QB instead. It failed.
Wasn't it Deion Jordan?
No, that was more
later.
recent. Yeah, that was more recent. I'll go find it. But it was. I think that's where it started going downhill for Parcells in year number 2 when they could have drafted. Maybe it was because they drafted Tannehill because he hasn't been around that long. It was somebody else they drafted or didn't draft, and you could tell right away, dang, they messed it up.
Mm-hmm.
And they never won again. And so that's where I'm like, okay, this is kind of reminding me of that. Tom Coughlin comes in and that kind of role. Doug Marrone does a good job. They go to the AFC Championship game. They might have got a few breaks. They get Blake Bortles playing well. It collapses in 2018. A lot of it because of injuries, I think. Bortles isn't the right guy, and here we are. Here we are in the same situation the Miami Dolphins were in back in like 2008 or 9, whatever year it was. And they have a chance now to pick a franchise QB. Maybe it's Foles, maybe it's Haskins, maybe it's Murray. They have a chance. And that did not pan out so well in Miami. And so that's what fascinates me, is where is this thing heading for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Because it's such a critical offseason. It feels like if it flops, it's going to kill the Jaguars for the next handful of years. If it's successful, it might buoy the franchise for the next 5 years. So it is that critical of an offseason. And it just fascinates me because of my comparison to Bill Parcells and the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get to find out who it was, did you?
Well, back in 2009, it was Vontae Davis with like the 26th, 27th pick of the NFL draft.
Yeah, it wasn't that one. Was Parcells there in 2009? Did you say 9 or 6?
That was 2009. 2008 would have been Jake Long was the top pick of the Miami Dolphins.
That's who they picked.
Jake
but
Long.
Who did they pass on?
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. There you go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's it. So they said, Jake Long, you're going to change our franchise. Instead of saying, Matt Ryan, you're going to change our franchise.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? I
mean, they passed on Derek Harvey.
Good move. That's where they made a huge mistake, a colossal mistake, and 2 years down the road, it was over.
Yep.
For Bill Parcells.
Joe Flacco's also available, too, in that draft.
So that was that draft. Yeah, right. Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. So that's where I am on this whole Coughlin-Marrone structure. I still think you got to give it this year. I'm okay with that, but I'm really curious of where it's headed. Hey, more football talk coming up. We'll get back to the Jags talk. We've got a lot more to get to, but next, Jason Christie from the Iceman and the Happy Hour horn on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and just the day after the Steelers agree that Antonio Brown needs to be shipped out of Pittsburgh, the team's now announced it won't be placing a franchise tag on Lev Bell. this making his exit from Steel City much easier. Lots of people are now looking at the situation, wondering what team president Art Rooney is doing.
The idea that this is in the best interest of the Steelers. How is it the best interest of the Steelers to lose a guy that has the only 6 straight seasons in NFL history with 100 catches, well over 1,000 yards each one of those years? He had 15 touchdown catches last year.
The UFC is losing a true class act. George St. Pierre says he plans to announce his retirement officially tomorrow morning from Montreal. GSP is 37 years old. When his bid to fight the current champ Khabib fell apart, he decided he needed to walk away from the sport. And finally, FSU cleans up against Clemson, 77-64. The win is extending the team record conference win streak to 8. Seminoles playing as good as basketball as anybody right now. Tonight on ESPN 690, Butler and Marquette meet in Milwaukee. Tip-off at 8:30.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martin of Action Sports Jacks here to talk to you about my good friends, the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. They built this new dealership from the ground up, and they did it with you in mind, and it's a beautiful facility. Their focus is getting you into the car you want at an affordable price, and that's where their no-risk, no-pressure approach comes in. If you buy a vehicle from Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville and you're not 100% satisfied with your purchase, you can bring the vehicle back within the first 7 days for your money back. The Hyundai you want, the service you deserve, all with Jenkins' exclusive lifetime warranty. You can drive a Hyundai. Put a Hyundai in your family like we have in our family. And take it from me, my friends at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville will treat you right. Go check out the showroom. Visit them online at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com. The Hyundai you want, the service you deserve, all with the Jenkins exclusive lifetime warranty. Make sure you tell them Brent from Action Sports Jacks sent you.
Hey everyone, this is Austin Lane from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jacks. I'm inviting you, your colleagues and friends to Pints and Pucks with the Jack Sports Council Young Professionals and the Jacksonville Icemen. Wednesday, February 27th, join the Jack Sports Council Young Professionals for a night of great networking and fun. Pints and Pucks starts at 5 at Intuition Ale Works downtown. Then we'll move to the arena for the puck drop at 7. Pints and Pucks is open to everyone, with a portion of the proceeds going to the Send the Child to the Game program. See you at Pints and Pucks.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Anna Jar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell is about to become an unrestricted free agent. Pittsburgh GM Kevin Colbert says the Steelers will not tag Bell, which means he'll be a free agent when the new league year starts in 3 weeks. Bell sat out last year under the franchise tag, passing up $14.5 million. Where will wideout Antonio Brown end up? ESPN's Field Yates wonders about the Packers.
They have some good pieces on offense, but Antonio Brown, along with Devontae Adams, will be borderline unstoppable.
Field Yates on Golick and Wingo. Colbert says the Steelers won't cut Brown and will only trade him if they get good value in return. 76ers center Joel Embiid will be out for at least a week with a sore left knee. An MRI shows no structural damage to the knee. Embiid is averaging 27 points and 13 rebounds a game. Right now, the Sixers are 5th in the Eastern Conference. Golfer Steve Stricker is named the 2020 Ryder Cup captain today for the U.S. The matches against Europe will be played at Whistling Straits in Stricker's home state of Wisconsin.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You watch Action Sports Jacks on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Now Action Sports Jacks is on your radio. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Hey, welcome back here on a Wednesday edition of Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Heard from Tom Coughlin earlier in the program. We'll play that back around 5 o'clock or so, and further discussion coming up on the Jags and what might have caught your attention from Tom Coughlin in that brief interview with our own Ben Becker. But right now, it is time for a little happy hour horn in Jacksonville on ESPN 690.
And to all my German friends out there, Snap the air and drink. Snap the air and snaps. The answer thunder.
Well, you should have done that in Canadian for
Good
our
point.
next guest. Jason Christie, the head coach of the Jacksonville Icemen, joins us right now. And Happy Hour Horns sure sounds like you got another goal with the Icemen, didn't it, Coach?
Boy, that sounded pretty good. Hopefully I can hear a couple of those tonight.
Hey, thanks for joining us, man. How you doing? How's this season going for you? You're back home tonight at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I know it's going good. You know, we had a little downtime here with a couple losses, but we're back on the winning track here right now, and obviously guys play pretty good at home here, so we're excited. We got Florida tonight at 7, and then Saturday at 7 against Norfolk, and then Sunday at 3 o'clock. So, you know, just got to keep plugging away here. The guys have been going hard, and the fans have been unbelievable.
Yeah, the fans in Jacksonville have been unreal. I'll take you back to about, a month ago now, a little less than. You had 11,000 there. I mean, the reception, I know it probably gets old because we catch people up on this, but I think it's worth doing because what you guys did last year in terms of the turnstiles, what you're doing this year, can you give us some perspective on that? How much that's exceeded expectation in Jacksonville?
Well, it's been, you know, again, like you said, like it's been unbelievable, just the turnouts and the excitement that they generate. You know, we've had a good home record here, and I think a lot has to do with that, Brent. You know, the fans that are coming out. You know, even on off nights on Wednesday night, we're getting 6,500 and stuff. So, you know, it just goes to show the excitement, and it is a pretty good hockey town. There's a lot of people from outside the state that are living here, and you know, even the people in the state, like, once you come to a game, I think a lot of them get hooked, and it's good family entertainment. You know, there's a lot going on for the kids as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason Christie, the head coach of the Jacksonville Icemen, with us. Brent Martineau, along with Austin Lane here on ESPN 690. Are you enjoying this team? You like this team? You like what you got? It's obviously a long year. You better hope you do.
Yeah, no, you know what? Again, we've had so much turnover just because affiliations, you know, like, there's a lot going on up in Columbus, obviously, with we got a couple players from Blue Jackets that got called up, and then Winnipeg Jets as well. So, you know, the big trade deadline's coming down on Monday. So, you know, we're trying to see if we're going to lose some guys, get some guys back off of trades. So, you know, we've had a lot of turnaround here as of late, but hopefully once we have our core guys again that we had here in the middle of it, you know, we'll be able to get this rolling again. But, you know, the guys, they're unbelievable. They work hard each and every night. They're out in the community. So, you know, it's a 4-letter league. It's not that 3-letter league where it's cushy. They have to come and not only do it on the ice, but out in the community as well. But I think that's important.
That's good. I've never heard it referred to that way, but that does make a big difference. 3 letters instead of 4 letters when it comes to that. You know, in many ways, as you're talking, I'm thinking you're like a special teams coach in football. The special teams coach gets like a variety of players, guys from offense, defense, has a couple of core special teams guys, but the lineup when guys get hurt goes in and out, and that juggling act is sometimes pretty difficult.
It is unbelievable, that's for sure. But again, you know, like, it's funny because you talk to guys around the league. Well, I got a first line center that's available. Well, you know, how do you know how he's first line? Like, you know, you lose players so often that your third line guy one weekend's playing top line minutes. So, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's going to get an opportunity. There's only 3 lines at play, and obviously you got 60, but you know what? You're always going to get ice time, and that's a good thing of being down here developing.
You're tied for 6th place right now in the Eastern Conference, but that's only 6 points out of 3rd place, and yet it's only 6 points out of 12th place. So it's a pretty good logjam, and that means every game counts.
Yeah, I know it is. It's important right now, and I think the biggest thing was importance that you get to see, you know, going down the stretch run, you know, the character in your guys. I think that's the biggest thing, Brent, for us is, you know, yeah, you're only allowed 20 on the active roster going into the playoffs. So, you know, this shows a lot, you know, and you get to see what guys are going to be able to, you know, fight through stuff, adversity, and what guys aren't going to be able to do that.
Hey there, Coach. It's Austin Lane here. Listen, huge game tonight against the Florida Everblades. Top team in the Eastern Conference right now. What are some of the keys to beat them and obviously try to get you guys back up to the top of the standings here?
Well, Austin, this is probably a game where you should come and watch because I think you would enjoy it. Rough and tumble, so.
I love it.
No, yeah, but this is, you know what, again, we have a good battle. Like, you know, we beat them a couple times. They got the upper hand, games won, though. But, I think we match up overall. We've never really had a healthy team to play against them yet this year, and when we did win. So, but it's an unbelievable rival we got. Like it's hardcore, and you have to be, if you're in the lineup, you got to be ready to battle because it's going to be a rough game for sure.
Start of a 5-game homestand for the Jacksonville Icemen tonight against the Florida Everblades, 7 o'clock down at the arena. Make sure you check it out. Jason Christie with us, head coach of the Jacksonville Icemen. All right, let's stay on Austin Lane here a little bit. The guy's from Wisconsin. He says he can skate, said he could play a little hockey. He's 6'6". Where do you see him fitting in on the roster?
Well, I would put him right in front of the net on the power play.
I like that. Thomas Holmstrom.
I got a guy, David Bro. I don't know if you guys have heard of him though, but he's 6'5". I don't want to say his weight, but he looks like a lineman for sure. But he played in the NHL there for a little bit. Pretty tough kid, but coming from Wisconsin, the J.J. Watt era there and stuff, that's, they like their hockey in Wisconsin. I know that. I coached in Chicago. So.
Well, yeah, and truth be told, I actually played against J.J. Watt when we played Pee Wee. Actually played against him a couple times.
Bet.
So,
there's a lot of hockey guys up there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, and by the way, you have Submarine Mike is his name on Twitter, but he's got the whiteboard in the sin bin and always heckles the opposing player. We got a little whiteboard magic here on the show on ESPN 690. I know you've been traveling. You probably haven't been able to see it as much, but we might have a duel with whiteboards at the Jacksonville Icemen game someday.
It might have to. The guy does a heck of a job here for sure. I can't really see it, but he tells me it after.
Yeah, because you're across the ice, right? Yeah, so it's on the other side of it. But well, hopefully you get a big crowd out there tonight. We appreciate you checking in, and we'll be paying attention to you, especially these next 5 games. Hopefully you can find some separation in the standings a little bit.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, guys. I just want to say congratulations to you guys. I've been following you guys, obviously, Brent. And, it's a great thing you guys got going there, and hopefully I can get down and see you guys there one day.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thank you
great,
very
Coach.
much, Coach. Jason Christie with us. Good luck tonight. Go get him and say hey to the family as well. Coach Christie's kids go to school down where my kids go to school. So actually his son played on the same volleyball team as Ty.
Okay.
So we would see him at some of those games. But he's a good dude. Jason Christie, they like the area a lot. Obviously, he's a hockey guy through and through. But I've just been so impressed at what the Icemen have been able to do in the state of Florida and in Northeast Florida. They saw a hole and an opportunity, and, man, they knocked that wall down. It's been awesome.
I'll tell you what, Brent, I think what we have to do here is I have my skates actually in the trunk right now. I think on my off day.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Like why?
On my off, because I go skating sometimes. But I think on my off day from MMA, because I always have an off day every week, I'm going to have to go to the ice a little bit and, just capture a little video of me skating and maybe send it to Coach, see what he says.
We might have to do that.
I like that.
I'd like to just see you on skates a little bit.
Oh,
what would be great
ready?
is, I think what we should do, we should plan this out, is that we should have Coach Christie, he could come in on this thing with us and say, put you in skates and a uniform. So we got a new guy, Austin Lane.
Yeah.
Like they would have no idea, right? They
No,
probably
for sure.
the guys had no idea if you played football or MMA. Maybe they do, but maybe they won't. And then you just sneak on and see if you're awful.
Yeah.
Or if you could fit in.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally down for that. Yeah, let's do that. But as far as my off day, next Wednesday's looking pretty peachy. If you want to go skate with me, Brent.
I am not skating.
You're getting on the ice too. If I have to do it, you have to do it as well.
Don't they have one of those things that look like a walker now that
man.
you can use?
Yeah, you can get one of those.
I might bust an ankle.
Coos, you coming too, man?
I'm game.
Team
I'm
bonding.
not the greatest skater, but
that's fine. Team bonding.
Here's what I think I'd rather get in a cage than get on skates.
Oh, Brent, careful.
That's way too hot of a take.
Careful,
Bring that back.
man. That's a piping hot take right there.
Probably would be an epic fail on both
Well,
fronts.
I guess, what are you talking about? Just like skating or skating against some Iceman players? Because, I feel like I'd probably die if someone even body checked me.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like spinning in circles if I was on the ice with those guys. I mean, really, I can't skate. I mean, it's not that I don't like hockey. I just couldn't take the skating. And then when I was young, I didn't really have, probably the passion to learn it enough.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. It wasn't a thing that came natural to me. And it was almost embarrassing to grow up in Rhode Island and not be able to skate,
Well, maybe this can be like you did for the Jacksonville Giants, where you played with them for a couple quarters.
Oh, yeah, but I held my own there,
Yeah,
man.
well, maybe call up the Iceman and say, hey,
No, I wouldn't.
We have a young left winger, or are you left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed.
Do you golf right-handed or left-handed?
Left-handed.
Okay, so
I'm
then
slap shot and left-handed.
So then you're going to be a left winger for sure. That's what I am too, man.
I should work on my slap shot because it might help me in golf. Hockey
There we
players
go.
are great at golf.
Maybe it goes vice versa. You know, it's like the opposite Happy Gilmore. You go in to hockey.
Except I'd take a bad golf swing into hockey. That can't help.
I'll tell you what, next Wednesday, I'm going to the ice rink and I'm shooting some video.
Well, we'll shoot the video. You
Okay.
stay on skates.
Let's do it.
How about a little ballin' and fallin' next on ESPN 690?
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Hi, this is Stan Nagel for Energy Seal Foam Insulation. Summer's coming, guys. Remember last year when you were burning up and your electric bill was off the chain? Why not do something about it this year and call Energy Seal to come out and fix your home for you? This summer, cool off that bonus room and really be able to use it. Spray foam insulation really works. Call us today and save 25% off our summer rates. Call 888-306-3626 or look us up on the web, EnergySealToday.com. Call us now, 888-306-3626. We're Energy Seal, sealing in energy and saving you money.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the only $5 meal worthy of your appetite? Wendy's Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal. Our classic Junior Bacon Cheeseburger is now bigger, with double the fresh, never frozen beef and double the Applewood smoked bacon. There's nothing junior about it except the price. Wendy's Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal comes with nuggets, fries, and a drink for just $5. Get the $5 Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal at Wendy's. Giant Meal, junior price.
At participating Wendy's for a limited time. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Golic, did you know that Gatorade Zero has all the same electrolytes but with zero sugar?
I did know that because I drank some Gatorade Zero after I ran 2 miles at the gym this morning.
2? Please, I ran 3.
Did I mention I also was on a 6 incline?
You didn't, but that's interesting because that's 2 less than I was on.
Were you also running backwards? Because I was.
No.
Gatorade Zero, all the electrolytes with zero sugar, so you can get more out of zero.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where our no bull pricing and express sales process will have you out the door in a new Chevy fast. No bull means fast, fair, and transparent. It's what you can always expect at Gordon Chevy. And right now, take up to $10,000 off the 19 new body style Silverado crew cabs and up to $12,000 off the 19 previous body Silverados. Only at the money saving end of Blanding and online at GordonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
March is right around the corner, and that means the Players' Championship will be here before you know it. We have your chance to win tickets to the newest venue at the Players, the Captain's Club, which includes beer, wine, and soda. To enter, go to our contest page at ESPN690.com.
Hey, it's Mike Golic from Golic and Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jacks with our friend Brent Martineau on ESPN 690.
Magic whiteboard. Is it Iceman related?
It's hockey related.
What you got?
What is that?
I'm not seeing.
That's a little town right there. Here, you can
shout out to the Wapaka Comets.
Not bad.
What is it?
Wapaka. Yeah, you pretty much said it. Yeah, I mean
that's like Pawtucket and Pawtucket.
Okay, yeah. Hey,
right.
Props to you, man, because there's some names where people screw them up pretty bad.
I bet in Wisconsin you got.
Wapaka's one of them.
I always forget is it Iola, Scandinavia?
Iola.
I-O-L-A?
Correct.
That's
Dash Scandinavia.
So is that 2 towns?
Yeah. Yep. So Iola is, I think the population now is 1,300, and Scandinavia, or Scandi as we call it, Scandi, is it's about 300.
So 1,600, a little less than 2,000 people. How many stoplights does that make that town?
0.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we don't have a stoplight.
No stoplight town?
Nope, but we have about 5 bars if you're interested in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you can't run a red light?
Yeah, exactly. And so I'll never forget the big draw that we got in Iola, Scandinavia was a Subway. I think it was like my 5th grade year, 6th grade year. We got a Subway in town. And the town went nuts.
Really?
Yeah, I'm talking like 2 hours waiting to get your sub made.
Yeah,
when it first
because
came
you're
out.
not an official town unless you get, like, in my opinion, and by the way, this is not a knock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like it that you're not an official. Like, Ashland, where I went to school, Ashland, Ohio, small town, started to grow and expand a little bit out toward the highway because it had a main thoroughfare that was right off. But the school was kind of a couple miles off. I mean, really small. Like I said, I've told people before, I mean, I went to the bank and I parked next to an Amish buggy at the bank.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that kind of town.
Yeah, yeah.
but right when I was leaving, or maybe a couple years after I left, they built a Walmart out by the highway.
Sure.
And it's like, now we're a
Game
town.
changer, for sure.
Now we're on the map.
Yep.
Walmart. So you're not an official town unless like Walmart's nearby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe in your Subway.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, man, talking small town with you actually gave me an idea for the game on Friday. So I'm glad we have this conversation. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet.
Oh, we got a game.
We're going to have a game on Friday, and I can't wait to play it with you.
I was thinking of something the other day. I was watching something, and I thought of a game. I have to be reminded, because I was like, oh, that would be good to see if you would know.
Cool.
So I might have to flip-flop roles at some point down the road. All right, let's go ballin' and fallin'. I'm going to begin with ballin'. Okay, I'm going to make it easy. I say ballin' is Jacksonville University tonight. I love the buzz on a campus like that today. I love the fact that the Florida Gators softball team number 4 in the country, Florida State baseball team is Florida State baseball. Big following in Jacksonville, by the way, for Florida State baseball. Mike Martin, legendary coach, 40 years, hanging it up at the end of this year. Last trip to Jacksonville to play the JU Dolphins. He'll be back in later March to play the Gators downtown. And I think he might even come to UNF, or UNF might go there. But and then the River City Rumble, which is a big event in town, should be a big event in town. It is, and it's a big game. So I love the fact that the campus over there must be hopping today. Yeah. There's a little buzz around there that feels a little different, and I love that. I love that part about those campuses, about Jacksonville. It's a good sports day in Jacksonville. Hopefully the weather holds for the baseball and softball game, but there's a lot happening. So that's my ball. And JU, hopefully there's plenty of parking available on the campus.
Hey, amen to that. Ballin'. I got to go with the New Jersey Devils. Keep it a little hockey themed today. The New Jersey Devils. Brent, what's a better combination than peanut butter and jelly? Seinfeld and hockey, baby. Last night, the new.
Would have taken me a while to get to that.
Yeah, for sure. Last night, the Devils celebrated 90s night by making David Puddy, who was a character from Seinfeld, they made a David Puddy bobblehead night. Obviously, any Seinfeld fans out there know David Puddy was in an episode of Seinfeld where he showed his fandom by painting his chest, by painting his face, and they actually made a bobblehead out of him. He also dropped the puck, and he also kind of helped the team get motivated when they're walking out of the locker room, yelling at him, screaming, "Let's go." And then to top it all off, he dropped the puck and then fell on the ice before he got to the bench. With his shirt off, mind you. So props to the New Jersey Devils. David Puddy, one of my favorite Seinfeld characters. He's classic. And, just an all-around cool moment.
Awesome. All right, what you got for Fallen?
Fallen. Ooh. Gordon Hayward of the Boston Celtics. Not for his play on the basketball court, which you could maybe say.
Yeah.
But the fact that, so last night he was online streaming Apex Legends. Brent, you should be familiar with Apex Legends now. We've been talking about it for the past week and a half.
Mixed reviews on that inside. Nick didn't love it, right?
And as far as Nick being my boss, Nick, I respect your opinion, and I take it to heart. So,
but you're wrong. Is that what you're trying to say?
But Brent said it, not me.
He said it. He told
Brent
me to
said
break.
it, not me. So, anyways, Gordon Hayward was streaming Apex Legends last night when his wife came in the room and asked him, it's time to get off, in which case Gordon Hayward, and this is to thousands and thousands of people watching on his stream, said, well, don't I have time for one more? And his wife goes, no, you don't have time. Get off. And Gordon Hayward left dejected and embarrassed.
That's it.
That's it.
Simple as that. Kuz stole my falling a little bit with the Sixers, and Joel Embiid out for a little bit with the injury. So it's kind of a lame one, but what kind of it's not a long-term thing. So, but does it linger?
Here's
for the
the problem. A lot of people were talking about how Embiid looks like he was slowing towards the end. They're saying that he was playing too many minutes, and now all of a sudden this injury comes out. And here's the thing with the Sixers medical staff. Nobody trusts them anymore because they covered up the Simmons injury first year. They covered up the Fultz injury for a really long time. And there's just a lot of things that they say are like, it's just soreness. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's out for the year. He's got a broken whatever. And so there's a lot of, I've been reading them for the past 10 minutes is these conspiracy theories is like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
And I will be thoroughly upset if that is the result.
So Kuz is doing balling and falling now, and you're just going to sit on the bench or at the sidelines?
Well, I was a little bit there.
That's okay. No, it's all good, Brent. Kuz, come on in, man. We got a nice spot for you over here.
Oh, yeah.
Kuz could always be. And also, we're remiss in saying, come on, I should remind people this more often. Send us your ballin' and fallins.
Good point.
What do you think?
Yeah.
The idea behind Ballin' and Fallin', by the way, stolen from Coos. So that's why you got to at least make him feel a part of it.
For sure.
I mean, we just flat out stole his idea.
Yeah.
And,
I'm okay with that.
And he's okay with it. And we support the Drive and Dish podcast because of it.
That we do.
But, his premise for it, which I love the premise of, is basically you get a guy that goes for 42 points and 10 rebounds last night, he's balling.
Yep.
You get LeBron going 3 for 20, he's falling.
Yep.
So any sport, anything, and we've kind of gone around the block with it at times.
We've been all over the place. Let's be honest. That's an understatement.
I love it. I love balling and falling. So 362-9901, you got a balling and falling or anything else, you're always welcome to join the show. 362-9901. Of course, all the social platforms that you can chime in on Twitter. Join our Facebook page, ESPN 690, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Action Sports Jacks. I want to stay on college basketball for a moment because the Gators play tonight.
Big game for them.
It's a huge game. It really starts a big stretch for the Gators. 14-11 right now, 6th place in the SEC. I saw Joe Lunardi's bracketology. He has them as a 12, which means he's got them at the last 4 in, so they'll have to play that game in Dayton as a 12 seed, which if they're going to be in, they probably should be in that area. I'm a little surprised they're in, but it shows you there's some lack of depth in college basketball this year. ACC and SEC are going to get a lot of teams in. But I'm a little surprised. To me, Florida doesn't feel like an NCAA tournament team right now. They don't feel anything close to an NCAA tournament team that I would consider making any kind of movement. I like, to be honest with you, and some people will hate this, it might sound outlandish, but I actually think Liberty and Lipscomb both should get in the tournament before Florida should get in. That's the way I feel. That's not measuring resumes. So if you go back and find the resumes and they play in the SEC and they play, keep in mind, if Liberty wins the A-Sun, Lipscomb will get left out. There are 4 losses right now. Well, 5. 1 to Liberty, 2 to Belmont, 1 to Clemson, and there was another big one in there, and now I can't remember. But
Belmont's good, though, too. Belmont went to UCLA and smoked them, by the way.
Yes.
At UCLA.
And Lipscomb beat TCU earlier this year.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We'll get to that down the road when we get closer and closer to the brackets, but I think you could make that case if you're Lipscomb or even a Liberty. Liberty, I don't think has as impressive non-conference, but they're really good in the A-Sun. You can tell they're a good team.
And see, I'm kind of in the same boat, being a Murray State fan. The way it's set up right now, it's Murray State and Belmont, I think, has the better record at the moment. I mean, basically, whoever wins the OVC tournament's going to win.
But they'll get a couple in.
They might, because Murray State's strength of schedule, I mean, they've got beat by Alabama, played them close in Auburn, and that's like the big teams, and that's it.
They don't have a good win?
They don't really have a good win, no.
Well, how do you
Belmont
does. You can't keep Ja Morant
and that's
out
what I want to make
tournament.
a point. I mean, the tournament needs Ja Morant. He's a star. He's projected to go number 2, number 3, and then an NBA draft. So they got to try to find a way.
If they don't win the OVC.
So we have a team like, the Florida Gators who kind of had an underwhelming season. I mean, listen, they got LSU tonight. If they win that game, I feel like they're almost in. So the way I see it is the Florida Gators have 6 games left here, and then obviously the tournament. But they play LSU twice, and now LSU's a solid team. Don't get me wrong.
LSU's a very good team.
Yeah, and then they also play University of Kentucky. And those are the 3 games where if they win one of those, I think they're in.
That's a great point. Okay, so that's where I was going to go with this.
Okay.
All right, you got Missouri. You can beat Missouri. It's at home.
Yeah, it's at home.
At Vandy's terrible.
Which, by the way, what happened to Vanderbilt all of a sudden?
I know.
Yeah.
Well, they had the 5-star kid got hurt.
Yeah.
They had a 5-star recruit coming in, got hurt, and so I don't know if they would have been any good. But they wouldn't have been this bad. By the way, Florida struggled with Vanderbilt last time out, and that was at home.
True.
So Florida doesn't run away from many people.
Especially at Vanderbilt. It's a hard place to play.
That's right.
Yeah.
Georgia is on the schedule. So anyway, depending on what happens tonight, they got a chance to beat, I think, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Georgia. That's 3 in a row. They've won 2 in a row. So if they get this one, they'd get hot and win 6 in a row, and that's perfect timing. That will catch the eyes of the committee. That'll be like, okay, they're probably in, even if they lose against LSU and Kentucky. But I really like your point you said. If they get the 3 wins that we think they'll get, that's 17. If they win one of the next 3 out of 2 LSUs in Kentucky, they've got a signature win, 18 wins, and a good SEC. Not a great SEC, but a good SEC. And then on top of that, you have a chance to win a game or 2 in the tournament, get to 20 wins potentially. So there is a roadmap for Florida to get in. I also believe there's a roadmap, if they don't win one of those 3, for them to be left out.
Without a doubt. And we're talking about the games that they have to win. I mean, they have LSU tonight at LSU, and then they also play LSU again March 6th in Florida. I think that's going to be the game right there because their following game, March 9th, They're playing a Kentucky Wildcat team who's surging right now. This always seems to be the story with Kentucky, where they have this young team. They don't really play together in the beginning of the season. All of a sudden, towards the tournament time, they're always, in mention of going to the championship. So
I mean, they're fourth in the country. He's a damn good coach.
So playing,
he really is.
So playing March 9th at Kentucky, which I assume is probably going to be senior night for Kentucky, that's going to be a hard game to win.
They can't match up with
So they have to beat LSU at least once.
And LSU's good.
LSU
really
is good.
Mm-hmm. So they have to get one of them, I think. They do. Then let's real quick talk about Florida State. Another good win. They won 8 in a row in the ACC. Now, who is that 8 comprised of? Clemson, Miami, Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Good win over Louisville, 16th in the country at the time. Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, and Clemson. So, yes, is it a lighter part of the schedule? Absolutely. But 8 in a row in the ACC? Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good now. That's really good. 21-5. And yet I've seen so many predictions that don't have Florida State as a top 4 seed. That surprises me. 21-5, pacing to win 23 to 25 games in the regular season in the ACC.
That's impressive.
And maybe not even getting a top 4. Now, they have a couple of chances. They go at UNC on Saturday. That's a big one. UNC will be coming off either a Duke win or loss. So, some air will be let out of the balloon tonight, win or lose, for UNC. Then they get Virginia Tech toward the end of the year, too. They've got very winnable games with Notre Dame, NC State, and Wake.
But it just goes to show you how good the ACC is this year, where they're 21-5, and they're considered 4th place right now in the ACC. So, I mean, as far as giving them a higher seed, you can't justify it because there's teams ahead of them in their own division.
By the way, Duke in North Carolina tonight, man, that is good stuff.
Yeah. Zion
Williamson. Later on down the road, something crossed my mind. You can't be an NBA team and pass up Zion Williamson.
No,
I don't even know if he's the best player.
1.
Some people might project him as a better player, but it's almost like you can't pass him up. He's a phenom.
He's way too polarizing.
Suns might.
You can't pass him up. You sell
but
more
they already
jerseys.
got 8.
I just don't think you can pass him up. I think you're making a huge mistake if you pass him up, even if he's not the best on your board.
I'm with you, Brent.
Marketability and everything else.
I'm with you, man.
More to come on ESPN 690. Mel Kiper chimes in next.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and just the day after the Steelers agree that Antonio Brown needs to be shipped out of Pittsburgh, the team's now announced it won't be placing a franchise tag on Lev Bell, this making his exit from Steel City much easier. Lots of people are now looking at the situation, wondering what team president Art Rooney is doing.
The idea that this is in the best interest of the Steelers, how? How is it the best interest of the Steelers to lose a guy that has the only 6 straight seasons in NFL history with 100 catches, well over 1,000 yards each one of those years. He had 15 touchdown catches last year.
The UFC is losing a true class act. George St. Pierre says he plans to announce his retirement officially tomorrow morning from Montreal. GSP is 37 years old. When his bid to fight the current champ Khabib fell apart, he decided he needed to walk away from the sport. And finally, FSU cleans up against Clemson, 77-64. The win is extending the team record conference win streak to 8. Seminoles playing as good as basketball as anybody right now. Tonight on ESPN 690, Butler and Marquette meet in Milwaukee. Tip-off at 8:30.
David Lane talks about his experience with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
I've been active my whole life. I grew up here in Jacksonville, played a lot of athletic sports. Over time, my body kind of broke down and I wasn't able to perform some of the activities that I used to. I've had 4 different surgeries at Southeast Orthopedic. I think the staff at Southeast Orthopedic is second to none. The doctors are great. The therapy is second to none. It's been a great experience.
Get your body moving again with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Find out more at se-ortho.com.
The Medical Group Management Association of Northeast Florida is proud to join forces with the Duval County Medical Society to host its first annual symposium on April 18th. Aimed at helping physicians and practice managers to smoothly operate their practice day to day, topics include healthcare trends impacting your practice, stress management and communication, and empathy in the workplace. To register, go to nfmgma.com. That's nfmgma.com. All attendees must be employed by a medical group or practice.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jacks, and we know who the football team of the year is. Yep, the Patriots again. What you may not know is my friends at the brand new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville have the North American Utility Vehicle of the Year. They raise that trophy. It's the new 2019 Hyundai Kona, and this is a super slick crossover utility vehicle. I encourage you to swing by the Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville showroom on Atlantic Boulevard and take a look at this new crossover utility vehicle. The Kona is offered in 4 trim levels: the SE, the SEL, the Limited, and the ultimate. Go see my friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville and schedule a test drive and order the new Konas today. And remember, Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is the home of the 7-day money-back guarantee and offers the limited lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States. Visit the showroom and visit them online at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com.
You look at the way Paul George is playing, and you look at Russell Westbrook, I don't think anybody can deny Oklahoma City may be the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors.
The Stephen A. Smith Show, weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m. on ESPN 690.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Hey, welcome back to ESPN 690. This is obviously not Brent Martineau. This is Austin Lane. Brent had to run out for a second, so I'm taking over a little bit. Gave me the keys to the car. All good. Hey, so the magic of the whiteboard is back. And if you guys are watching on Periscope, Facebook, Twitter, or some other streaming service I'm not familiar with yet, maybe Twitch. I don't know if we have Twitch yet or not. It says, I want Chipotle triple meat money. Now, what does that mean? Well, when I first got to Jacksonville, Chipotle was new to me. From Wisconsin in the Midwest, we had Qdoba, so I wasn't used to Chipotle yet. Wasn't used to getting guacamole, not for free when I came to Chipotle in Jacksonville. But I started to notice you can get double meat. So obviously I got double meat. I'm a big guy. Got to maintain my defensive end weight and whatnot. Well, one time I was at the St. John's Town Center Chipotle, and this guy comes up wearing this pretty classy suit. Might have been Gucci, might have been Armani, hair slicked back. Goes up to the lady and says, hey, darling, let me get that triple meat Chipotle. And she goes, what kind of, excuse me? Like, it was like it never happened before. And he goes, you heard me right. I want triple steak Chipotle. That ended up coming out to about, I don't know, $25 that he spent on one burrito bowl. But hey, that's why I want to have Chipotle triple meat money, and everybody should aspire to have that. Hey, Brent, welcome back, man.
Hey, fantastic job, by the way.
Thank you.
I was debating. It was a heavy debate. Do I run and go to the bathroom or not? And
you did.
I did.
Did you make it?
I did.
All right. Good to hear.
All right, I got to share this. I was debating whether to share this or not. But the other day, so I go use the bathroom.
The one in the corner.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And let's just say it's like, it's one of those deals when you go to the bathroom, public restroom, and it's like someone dropped a bomb in there.
Getting my apology ready for this?
Yeah.
For what you're about
so it's
to say?
not good.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So then I leave, and then somebody else goes in.
Oh, yeah.
And then so
blames you, right?
You're the guy.
Yeah.
That had to throw the stink bomb in the whole hallway.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough spot to be in, is my point.
Hey, tell me about it, sir.
It wasn't my fault.
So get this. Today I'm at yoga class, right? And I'm one of two guys in the yoga class. And usually I try to go to the back just because it's more my style. I'm not trying to show off, not trying to embarrass anybody. Well, I'm probably the youngest cat in there. Everyone else is like mid-50s, 60s. It's kind of a geriatric class, if we're being honest here, but so be it. I have no shame. But, yeah, and yoga, it's pretty common. Sometimes there's flatulence, and, hey, no worries. But there was some flatulence right next to me a few times. And, of course, everyone thinks it's the guy, the young kid in the back. So I got a bunch of dirty looks, and I'm not going to embarrass anybody who said it wasn't me, but sometimes you just get, you have to wear that badge of shame even though it's not
really
your badge.
Do. And that's the worst part about flying. The flatulence is flying. Yeah. And nobody cares, man.
No.
They just don't care.
Dude, it's Thunderdome when it comes to airplanes, man. Like, there's no rules.
I mean, I don't know. I have a little self-pride.
Me too.
I don't do it.
People taking off their shoes and I've seen that. I've seen people wearing sandals and they disengage their sandals and just bare feet hanging out in the aisle.
It's wrong. Have a little respect.
It's wrong. Have a little respect.
That's all we ask.
Yep. But no, I have to ask though, are you one of those guys that like dresses up for planes though too? Or not?
No.
Because there are those people as well.
Yeah. That's a little old school thing.
Aaron Morgan, who was an outside linebacker for the Jaguars for, I think, 2 years, we had him here. He played when I played. And every time, and obviously when we play an away game, you got to dress up.
Yeah.
But, like, if he was going on vacation, like in the offseason, he comes back to the airport, he's wearing, like, a three-piece suit every single time he travels to the airport. Yeah, that was just his style.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Uncomfortable.
That is an old school thing.
It is.
I'm a sweatpants. If I could wear sweatpants in a plane.
Gym shorts all day.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
So, but like I think a lot of like I feel like I don't know. It's kind of like my father-in-law probably always has like a nice pair of slacks on and a polo shirt. But I feel like there's a lot of folks in his age group that also will go with the blazer on the plane.
Yeah.
Like you have to dress up, and that might be a passed down thing for Aaron Morgan.
Yeah, no, for sure. And speaking of dressing up,
but now it's yoga pants all over the place.
No,
in an airport.
absolutely. And speaking of dressing up and just outfits and whatnot, I got to ask you this question that I haven't really had the time to ask you, and I don't know why. But so when we were at the Super Bowl in Atlanta, a couple weeks ago, and we went to the Super Bowl media party basically, and a bunch of people in the media,
the aquarium.
Yeah, the aquarium got together. I didn't have time to socialize. I was looking at penguins and whatnot the whole time. So didn't really talk to anybody.
I was mesmerized by the guy with the guitar in front of the whales.
So is there a rule where if you're in media, you have to wear khakis and like a Columbia coat? Because
probably.
Well, yeah. What was up with that, man? Everyone was rocking khakis and either like a North Face or a Columbia top.
It's a lot of writers. I think writers code is probably khakis.
Okay.
I think.
I was just asking, man. I don't know if you had some inside information for me.
I think
that
the
I have
Columbia
to
like jackets are usually probably have like the station logo on it.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of people wear it. That was an eclectic group. You could get the khakis. You could get us who were dressed down like we just
we were
whatever. And then
Marcel was on a different level.
Well, then you get the Marcels of the world and everybody that are going out and they feel like it's a black tie affair.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, I would say it's interesting about that. When I first worked in my first job, Alexandria, Louisiana, I got hired in late July, early August. Well, first time I've lived in Louisiana. But I was trying to impress people a little bit, wear khakis, polo shirt, or a button-down shirt. Well, I'm carrying the tripod, the camera. It's August in Louisiana. I was sweating my butt. For those first 2 weeks, I've never been so hot in my life. I was like, okay, stop trying to impress people with the khakis and whatever and look nice. This isn't an office job. Get away with it. And so I just remember that. I was like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
But it was so hot. I mean, I hadn't lived in Florida yet. I mean, it's a different kind of hot.
It's the humidity that'll get you.
And Mississippi's still the hottest place I've ever been to in my life.
Really?
Like when we drove down there, we stopped at like a gas station in Mississippi, and it was seriously so I still remember how hot it was.
Just ridiculous.
I mean, we've been hot in Florida, we've been hot all different, but that was like this stifling heat in late July, early August that I had never felt before. It was just a different kind of hot, and but I loved it. Now I love it. Like I mean, I love the heat.
To an extent.
I don't mind the heat at all.
I enjoy it. I mean, I'll tolerate it. It's not my favorite thing in the world, like it's sounding to you, but
love it. I don't mind the 3 shirt days around here.
Yeah,
I'll sweat. I'll drink coffee in the heat. I don't care.
Well, I guess that's because you never had real 2-a-days here when I played. So,
yeah, not when you played.
No,
they might have gone away in like 2008 or 9.
No, you know what? We did it. So my first year we had real 2-a-days,
and I'll tell you what, it's like 10 degrees or 15 degrees hotter on that turf.
So get this, because obviously hydration's important and everything, and try to maintain a cool body temperature, especially during 2-a-days, is important. So a thing that the training staff does is they have like these pills, and I don't know, Brent, how big you think that is? That's like I mean, it's pretty big. It's
like
thick.
a nickel.
Probably, yeah. So
or it's a quarter.
Yeah, I would say it's about as thick as a nickel to try to get down. I mean, it's a thick, giant pill. And what the pill is that you swallow it, and there's a computer chip inside this pill. So each one of these pills probably costs a couple $100 because they're pretty high tech. And what they do is when you swallow it, it sits in your stomach. Well, then the trainers will come by and they'll scan your body temperature because the pill reads how hot your internal core temperature is.
That's crazy.
So like if you ever go like during practice and you see these guys with the scanners, you'll see it, Brent, when you go to training camp this year. You'll see a trainer with a scanner and he'll scan the back of the shoulder pads. That's actually scanning that pill that's in the person's body. And then obviously you get rid of it in a day, and then you have to swallow another one.
And of course, you probably weren't around when they had the chips and the shoulder pads and the GPS things coming out of the locker room. But now they have that.
No, so we had like the beginning stages of the GPS in the shoulder pads.
I wanted to one thing I want to do at training camp. I thought about doing it last year is because there were guys that sweat off 8 pounds a day.
Oh, I was one of them.
Right?
Yeah.
Were you like an 8-pounder?
Absolutely. Yeah, I sweat all the time.
And so what I thought about doing is it's already hot enough for us who sit out there in flip-flop shorts and watch the practice. Like we're working hard. We're sitting there watching practice, eating sunflower seeds and drinking water. But it's already hot. And again, I don't mind it a bit. But what I'd love to do is put on the uniform for a practice and just sit there and cover it in a uniform without actually doing.
Yeah, I like that.
Like without doing the work.
Yep.
But just on the sideline.
Yeah.
Just stand
Do
there
it.
in
No,
a uniform
you have to do
and
that.
see how much you'd sweat off
You have
or
to
how
do
much
that.
you'd lose.
And then you know what? The crappiest thing about sweating that much is that you take for granted is your feet. Because when you sweat that much, I mean, you get puddles in your feet. Literally, if you watch guys leave the field after a warm practice in the middle of September or whatever, there'll be water coming out of their cleats just from all the sweat. So what a lot of players will do before training camp even starts is they'll take like an emery board, they call it, and they basically shave down their feet or whatever. So by the time training camp comes around and their feet are sweating, you don't get blisters and stuff like that because it's so common. And it's I mean, the worst thing is having blisters during training camp.
All right,
you know?
most weight you ever lost in a practice?
I think I got up to 10 or 11, if I'm not mistaken.
And how do you get it back?
Pedialyte, baby.
It was Pedialyte.
Yeah, a lot of Pedialyte.
All right.
Yep.
Buy me some. Get me some.
Hey, $5 a pop.
I haven't forgot about you, Mel Kiper. Hang with us. Mel Kiper on the other side of this, talking quarterbacks, Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins, and also receivers as well. Next on ESPN 690.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Is an unhappy Thon Maker the answer? 53% of the audience said yes.
Thon Maker is going to excite anybody who hasn't seen Thon Maker play, correct? Like, that guy walks into the room.
How'd we get him?
Yeah, wait a minute. That guy's great. I would draft him first overall every time.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Hi, this is Earl Ron, president of New South Window. New South makes windows that are energy efficient and hurricane resistant. You get both. If you have aluminum windows, it's time to get rid of yesterday's technology. New South is the factory and eliminates the middleman. Don't even think of buying windows until you see what our factory can do for you. New South windows are made in Florida, for Florida homes, by Florida workers, because we know Florida weather.
Going on now. For every 2 windows you buy, get the third free. Visit newsouthwindow.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Allie McNeil from the Best Bet Poker Rooms in Jacksonville and Orange Park. WPT Deep Stacks returns to Jacksonville March 1st. The series features 12 total events with the main event guaranteeing over $300,000. Satellite into the $1,500 main event for as little as $85. Pick up all the bragging rights and cash. Plus, make your claim to fame in this year's WPT Deep Stack Series. Satellites run now through March 9th. For all tournament information, visit them on the web at bestbetjacks.com.
There are those who play the blues. Then there's Chicago's electric blues legend, the one and only Buddy Guy.
And it goes down.
Saturday, March 23rd at the Florida Theater.
Well, you know it's 9 below 0.
Tickets are on sale now at the box office and at floridatheater.com. Don't miss Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Buddy Guy.
Hi, it's Nathan from Gordon Chevy in Orange Park, where our no bull pricing and express sales process will have you out the door in a new Chevy fast. No bull means fast, fair, and transparent. It's what you can always expect at Gordon Chevy. And somehow, I fat-fingered the order for 2019 Colorados and ended up with over 100 in stock. So right now, you can get up to $4,000 off. That's the truck everybody's talking about, the Chevy Colorado. Only at the money-saving end of Blanding Boulevard and online at GordonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
Like, your lack of retention is a breathtaking thing that should be among the 7 wonders of the world.
I couldn't see the uniform through Devon's smoke.
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugatz. Weekdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Hey, it's Trey Wingo from Golic & Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jacks with our friend Brett Martin.
It felt like Trey right there didn't want to be my friend for real.
He was getting paid to say that or something?
He kind of gave up on me there.
Well, at least he mentioned you. I'm just an afterthought in his world.
Much.
Yeah.
Are you like official yet?
As far as what?
Like, are you employed?
I signed the contracts. You tell me. I don't know.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you sign something?
Yeah, I signed something like last week.
Okay, good.
And I didn't even read it. I was just that excited.
That's good.
You've been here for, what, 3? I haven't even signed a contract yet.
Well, not a contract.
It's been more than 3. It's been like
probably
a month
like a
and
1099
It has been a month.
It's been like a month and a half. Yeah.
been here 5 years. I haven't even signed a contract.
There you go.
It's about time you get paid.
Yeah. Kuz, you getting paid, or are you just doing this for fun?
No, this is charity, man.
Is this like an internship? Is this like community service?
Yeah, I've been ordered here by the court
for
at least 7 years.
Community service, we probably all could sign up for. And if this is community service, we apologize, community.
Yeah, exactly.
Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Kuz in the house here on a Wednesday. I'm going to check in with Stuart Weber's over at JU. A little softball, a little baseball, a little basketball. By the way, the weather looks pretty good right now. By now, it was supposed to be raining. And
we should have went on location today.
You know, we actually had a spot picked out. And the JU folks were very accommodating. But I thought Stuart was going over, Marcel's going over. I figured we can check in with them rather than being over there. And I hadn't been able to check out the spot we were going to be, so I was a little sight unseen.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want it to be a disaster.
No, that's a good point. And I always prefer home field advantage anyways, so it's all good, man.
We will be on the road once again next week, though, at the Combine in Indianapolis, Wednesday and Thursday.
You will.
I will. You'll be back here.
Oh, yeah.
You got
Throwing
fight
parties.
camp.
I have fight camp.
But we'll catch up with Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell and obviously a bunch of the guys that are at the Combine and some of the national folks, too. So my first time to the Combine. I've always debated about going. I'm looking forward to going. And we'll be able to bring ESPN 690 on the road as well from 3 to 6 Wednesday, Thursday. Then we'll have a bunch of interviews probably, too, on Friday. But as long as my plane leaves on time and gets here on time, we'll be back Friday afternoon in studio. We have taken the show on the road.
Oh, that we
in
have.
the first 6 weeks or so.
So how's this going to work in Indianapolis? Are you going to have video, too, where you can see your face and then see my face?
We're working on that.
Okay.
There, see, we're at least have this.
Oh, thank God.
So you'll be on camera. Sorry,
thank
people.
God. Yeah.
And then we're working on seeing if we can get both. It's going to be kind of a one-man band out there. I've got enough going on trying to get that damn thing to work.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
I'm playing engineer. Mm-hmm. So audio comes first, and then we'll work on the video, maybe via Skype or...
Well, figure my thinking is like make it look like a FaceTime, you know? Like, Austin, you're going to have the whole room to yourself, but then we'll put like a little picture of Brent up in the corner so you can see him too.
Yeah. That'd be great, yeah.
So we'll try it.
Okay.
Because I like obviously we love the video platform. Video platform has been fun. I think it's
People
been
are all
good.
about
I
it.
hear people watching on ESPN 690 and also even watching or /listening on Twitter, which we appreciate. I love the comments that we're getting, and it's a good way to interact. You can always give us a call, though, 362-9901. We do it the old-fashioned way as well.
and you should probably say for people that aren't in Jacksonville, it's 904-362-9901.
904, the 904.
Yes, sir.
362-9901. But I like the video element of it. Taking it on the road has been tricky, but between Stuart Weber and Marcel and Dave Wax, our operations guy, and the people around it, we've all kind of figured it out, and it's been really good. And the part I like about it is like when we had the Super Bowl, we had Herschel Walker on. The people watching on those platforms can see Herschel Walker. I think that's and you could see the buzz around.
Yeah.
Well, I get the feeling the Combine has that kind of buzz. There's a lot going on, and so I'd love to be able to show people the visual of it if we can. So we'll attempt it. We'll see if we can pull it off, and we'll see what happens. I think this guy's going to be there, Mel Kiper from ESPN. He'll be making the rounds, and maybe we'll catch up with him. And Mel Kiper was on a conference call this week and chimed in on a variety of issues. We already had a problem with Kiper's mock draft, didn't we?
A little bit. Oh, yeah, I did.
And in that mock draft, he had Juwan Taylor,
which
the right
wasn't
tackle.
The big issue to me. The big issue of that mock draft, which was I think mock draft 2.0, was the fact that he said we might get Foles or Teddy Bridgewater, therefore we wouldn't draft a first-round quarterback. And my issue with that is I agree. If we get Foles, no need to get a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, really. But my issue is if we get Teddy Bridgewater, I feel like he's not going to be the starter for years to come. We need to rely on a first-round pick with Teddy Bridgewater as well.
But let's be honest, Austin Lane. You already have a little bit of a history with Kiper, and so there might be a little bit of bias
It's
involved.
not the best. It's not the best. As far as the defensive end rankings coming out of college in 2010, I may have not even made the list, if I'm not mistaken. I think I was slated as an undrafted free agent, once again, if I'm not mistaken, which, trust me, I'm not. I remember this very well. And then obviously, and let me just share this story quick. So draft day is huge, right? Draft day it's an awesome experience. You got your friends, your family there and everything. And it's stressful because you don't know where you're going to go. And eventually we'll get to the drafts when I get the phone call and whatnot like that. But the story I want to share right now is involving Mel Kiper, where when the Jaguars selected me at pick 153 and my name pops up, usually what happens is, they have the breakdown of, the Jaguars get Austin Lane. Here's some college film of him. He's a great player, needs to work on this, but he could be a starter. My name popped up on the screen. It went to commercial. It came back on, and nothing. Literally, it was Austin Lane going to the Jaguars, bleh, and that was it.
Well, listen, every Jacksonville Jaguar fan can relate right now. Because, say it with me, Jacksonville, every time the Jags are on the clock, what happens? Commercial break.
Oh, yeah. But the fact that he had the audacity. He had the audacity that when the commercial break came back on and I was selected, didn't even mention me, didn't even give me a shout or anything. It was literally just Austin Lane, Jacksonville Jaguars, and we're on to the next pick. So, unbelievable.
So, in your view, first of all, his listings basically called you undraftable.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I wasn't in any talks whatsoever of getting drafted.
And then that, no comments about it once it happened.
Yep. Probably because he didn't do his homework. He didn't know who I was.
Oh, easy now, easy. We're
Just saying.
going to have Mel Kiper on at some point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
So you versus Mel.
Well, it should really be Stewart versus Mel for best hair.
True.
There you go.
There you go. I like the way you just threw a compliment in there for him. Good move.
I'm talking all this smack about him. He comes on there. Mel, good to see you, man. How you doing? Yeah.
Hey, let's hear from Mel Kiper right now talking Haskins and Kyler Murray. What's he think about the quarterbacks, the two best that most people feel are the two best in the 2019 draft?
Oh, definitely. He's a quarterback, no doubt about it. His arm strength, his accuracy, his football IQ, today's NFL suits him perfectly. Yeah, he's a quarterback all the way. Now, is he the fourth pick in the draft to Oakland? Is he a guy that goes 11 to Cincinnati, 13 to Miami? Does he, in fact, go ahead of Dwayne Haskins? He could. He's kind of a wild card. To compare him to Dwayne Haskins isn't fair because they're totally different quarterbacks. Their style of play would change the way you go about your business on offense if you bring him in. And, Haskins is a traditional drop-back pocket passer where Kyler can do everything. He can throw from the pocket, but you want him outside the pocket. There's a stat that Todd and I have talked about this. 6 foot and under quarterbacks have fewer passes batted down than 6 foot or taller quarterbacks. So the height's not a big deal. It's throwing through windows, and he's smart. You saw what he did against Alabama after that team fell behind early. He didn't even have Marquise Brown healthy for that game yet. He lit up Alabama, that defense, with Nick Saban's defensive acumen. So Kyler, yeah, I think right now it's a 2-horse race. To say which one will be the first quarterback taken right now, I would lean to Haskins, but it's not a lock that Haskins will be the first quarterback taken. But I would lean Haskins' way right now. I have him going 6 to the Giants. Maybe the Giants have to trade up to get him. And I have Murray right now at 13 to Miami. Thought about him to Cincinnati at 11. And like I said, it's going to be interesting what John Gruden does at 4, whether he moves forward with Derek Carr or he decides that, hey, I can get a little bit of upgrade here possibly with a guy that can exchange points with Patrick Mahomes and take Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be the interesting pick at number 4.
Some interesting thoughts from ESPN's Mel Kiper on a conference call this week about the QBs. A lot to unpack right there, right? From the Oakland standpoint where people say, hey, maybe. I thought it was interesting that while everybody else thinks Haskins is far and away the safe, best pick of this class, Mel Kiper wasn't ready to say that. He still is a little in between on who might go first.
Listen, that's the way it usually goes. I mean, last year, I think people were on Sam Darnold more than anybody. And who went first? Baker Mayfield. And nobody really saw that coming. And we heard rumors, we heard rumblings from Cleveland saying they're going to pick Baker Mayfield. We all thought it was going to be kind of like a bluff, and just try to throw some teams off. But they stuck by their word and everything and took Baker. So we're sitting here talking about Haskins being the top guy. He's the most NFL ready right now. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Murray is the first quarterback to go, or maybe even somebody else we're not talking about right now.
Wow, that one I would be surprised.
True.
If I give you Murray, Haskins, or the field.
Okay.
The field. You think somebody from the field could come in?
No, I don't think so, Brent. But if I gave you the names of, Josh Rosen, if I gave you Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, and then I gave you Baker Mayfield last year, where'd Mayfield go in that?
Well,
3, 4?
It's a good call.
Yeah.
It's fair. That's a fair call. So you can fall in love with anybody.
Exactly.
I just feel like there was a little bit more conversation that could happen. And the bunch was closer together, and it's kind of like, I like this guy, you like that guy.
Yeah.
I don't get that sense here. Now, the only sleeper in that, I don't even think my guy Daniel Jones that I'd mentioned would fall into that.
Yeah.
I think the sleeper is Drew Lock. And because I think he's going to wow people in the interviews. I think we talked to him at the Senior Bowl.
We did.
And I thought I think he's going to wow people. I think he helped himself at the Senior Bowl. Mel Kiper has a comment about Drew Lock. We'll get into it in a moment after this break. And also thoughts on the wide receivers as well from Mel Kiper. But that's one guy but I still think there's some measurables. Again, you get caught up in these stupid things, right? What his hands were small, like 9 inches. And so it's like, well, okay, but that doesn't check a box on a Drew Lock.
Sure.
I'd be stunned if anybody, you give me those two guys, Haskins, Murray, Field, I'll take Haskins and Murray or Murray.
Let me ask you this. We heard about John Gruden. Do you think Gruden would be more inclined to take Murray over Haskins?
Yeah, because I think he's got a wild side in him.
Yeah.
You know, I think we are doing that. I think we're putting together personality.
Good point.
Right? Mm-hmm. The one other thing Mel Kiper mentioned, you would have to change some of your philosophy with Kyler Murray. Exactly what we started the show with. Exactly what Tom Coughlin talked about. If you didn't hear it on ESPN 690, you'll hear about it in the 5 o'clock hour. We talked to Tom Coughlin today here at Action News Jax and Action Sports Jax. You'll hear from him at 5 o'clock. Not next, but coming up during the 5 o'clock hour.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and just the day after the Steelers agree that Antonio Brown needs to be shipped out of Pittsburgh, the team's now announced it won't be placing a franchise tag on Lev Bell, this making his exit from Steel City much easier. Lots of people are now looking at the situation, wondering what team president Art Rooney is doing.
The idea that this is in the best interest of the Steelers, how is it the best interest of the Steelers to lose a guy that has the only 6 straight seasons in NFL history with 100 catches, well over 1,000 yards each one of those years. He had 15 touchdown catches last year.
The UFC is losing a true class act. George St. Pierre says he plans to announce his retirement officially tomorrow morning from Montreal. GSP is 37 years old. When his bid to fight the current champ Khabib fell apart, he decided he needed to walk away from the sport. And finally, FSU cleans up against Clemson, 77-64. The win is extending the team record conference win streak to 8. Seminoles playing as good as basketball as anybody right now. Tonight on ESPN 690, Butler and Marquette meet in Milwaukee. Tip-off at 8:30.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jax here on ESPN 690. And although the focus has shifted a little bit from football and heading into basketball season, maybe even baseball season, we have not lost our focus on helping you get the best car buying experience. If you haven't been to see my friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville, you've got to see this new state-of-the-art showroom and meet their fantastic people. Beyond that, if you're thinking about buying a new or pre-owned car, you really should go see the team at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. I'm really confident you'll find their approach to be a breath of fresh air. Take it from me. I drive a Hyundai, and my friends at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville emphasize a no-risk and no-pressure approach. They offer a limited lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States, and if you're not 100% satisfied with your vehicle for any reason, you can bring it back within the first 7 days for your money back. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is located on Atlantic Boulevard. You can schedule a test drive today at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com and tell them Brent Martineau sent you.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell will be an unrestricted free agent 3 weeks from today. GM Kevin Colbert says the team will not use a tag on Bell, who sat out last season and left $14.5 million on the table. Colbert also says the Steelers won't cut wideout Antonio Brown and won't trade him unless they get good value in return. ESPN's Josina Anderson reports Giants safety Landon Collins cleaned out his locker today and said goodbye to teammates. He's also about to become a free agent. Will 10 years and $300 million for Manny Machado be a good business move for the Padres? ESPN's Buster Olney.
I talked to people around baseball yesterday who were saying, boy, this could be exactly like Alex Rodriguez signing with the Texas Rangers. That within a few years, if it doesn't go well immediately, they wonder if it's going to work out.
Buster Olney on the Baseball Tonight podcast. From the NBA, Sixers center Joel Embiid will be out for at least a week with a sore left knee. An MRI showed no structural damage in the knee.
Brought to you by Little Caesars, where you can get a large pretzel crust pizza for only $6 with creamy cheddar cheese sauce, mozzarella, and Munster cheeses and pepperoni. Pretzels back, and only $6 at Little Caesars. Available at participating locations, plus tax where applicable.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Hey, working out a little TV show for tonight as well, because I'll go live over at Jacksonville University with all the events happening, 6:50 on Fox 30 for me. But if you're getting home and flipping the TV on, CBS 47, the place to be here on a 5 o'clock on Wednesday through 6 o'clock. You can check them out at CBS 47 and Fox 30. So make sure you do that if you're trying to get the news headlines for the day. And coming up at 6:50, I'll give you some sports at Fox 30 live from Jacksonville University with all the happenings going on there. Plus, we'll play some of our interview on TV with Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin interview coming back at you in a little bit. But we want to continue on with the Mel Kiper conversation. Before we do that, in case you missed Tom Coughlin, a couple questions with him earlier today at a J-Fund event. Also talk some football. Again, we'll play it coming up here in a little bit. ESPN 690, the place to 690.com, the place to go. New website in the last week, and you can win tickets to the Players Championship, the Captain's Club, weekly pass. Right? Two passes, a weekly pass, and you can be there in less than 3 weeks. All you have to do is get to ESPN690.com.
And let me tell you, those things are like prime when it comes to the players and TBC, because you get your own, like, it's like your own bathroom. You don't have to wait in line with everybody else. That's like, to me, that's the number one thing when you're at one of these events.
Absolutely. Yeah, you get that comes with the food and I think like you said, the bathrooms are right there.
Open bar?
I don't think it's an open bar, but it becomes your own little personal bar.
Right. The lines to get those beers and wine and everything is less. So, and air conditioning is a huge part,
There you go.
Speaking of open bar, Brent, what does Vegas have me right now of actually lasting 3 days at Sawgrass before I get thrown out? Or is it 2 days? Whatever it is.
Well, we'll be there Tuesday through Friday, so that's 4 days. We'll probably put the over-under at 2.5.
2.5 days?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Probably by Thursday you'll get – some will say you'll get thrown out. Some will say you'll stay.
Yep.
And we'll have to see.
We'll see.
But anyway, go to ESPN690.com, win some tickets to the Players Championship. You can do that. All you have to do is go to the website, sign up, and bingo, you might have a chance to win. Also, for my buddies at North Florida Junior Golf and the First Tee, who were part of this event last night that I did, a reminder that for the next day or so, you can still purchase tickets through North Florida Junior Golf Foundation. That's nfjg.org. And if you do that, most of the money goes to junior golf in the area. So if you're purchasing tickets, that's a good spot to do it. And there's a give back to the First Tee of Northeast Florida and also to North Florida Junior Golf Foundation. That's nfjg.org if you want to check it out. So getting closer and closer to the Players Championship. We're also getting closer and closer to the Combine and then the NFL Draft, the new league year, all that in the NFL. Mel Kiper on a conference call this week. We already just heard about Haskins and Kyler Murray, but what about the receiving core? The Jags, they need maybe one, right? Maybe two. Where do you take them? With a 7 pick overall, Metcalf? Do you reach A.J. Brown? Someone like that in the second round? Who will be available for the Jags? How deep is this receiving class? Mel Kiper from ESPN talking receivers in this upcoming draft.
The receiver group is there's really, I think, 3 first-rounders. Preston Williams from Colorado State would be in that mix. There was a one off-the-field issue, but I think he's got a shot to get into the solid second round. Paris Campbell, Ohio State, and Deebo Samuel all have a similar grade. N'Keal Harry, Arizona State. I think Samuel at Senior Bowl week really helped himself. Obviously, he's a kid who's got great versatility. He's got explosiveness. I'd say he doesn't get past the early to mid, at worst, the late second, but I think he's a solid second-round pick right now.
Well, there's a little bit of the depth on the receivers, or lack thereof, really. Because maybe the depth is there, but where's the star power? Mm-hmm. Right? There's usually a receiver or two that you're like, got to get him. Top 10 pick. Not really. And that's why the whole
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, the Metcalf in his weight room stuff is one thing.
Brent, the guy can run a 4.4 supposedly. So, okay, I'm going to ask you this then, Brent. Here. If DK Metcalf comes out 6'4", 230, runs a 4.3 40, or okay, it's 4.4 40 probably, and bench presses, I don't know, you've seen what he looks like, probably 225 at least 25 times. Are you sold on him as a first-round pick? And the top wide receiver in the draft?
A top 15 guy?
Top 10 guy.
Listen, I could care less how much a guy can bench press. Can he catch the football? And can he be physical after the catch?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really don't care about the bench press. And we're going to talk this week more about the combine.
No, and I just said that just to be funny because he's a big guy.
And even
That's
at
what
4.4, I get the speed, but there's game fast and there's track fast. So does his tape show that he's fast? Listen, I'm not a guru in that. I'm not going to be the judge of that.
Yeah.
But does the tape show that he plays fast? And there's different guys. Like, listen, Allen Robinson you didn't time him as a fast guy, yet he could get open, make big plays. And again, not a burner. There's a difference. There's a difference between the Tyreek Hills of the world and other guys. I understand that. But there's also a difference between showing up fast on a stopwatch and playing fast in a game.
No, true. And I guess I did a little more research after you called him another Kelvin Benjamin. I got a little upset. So I had to go do my due diligence and look up some things that the scouts are saying about DK right now. And one of his biggest attributes going into the draft or going to the combine is his ability to create separation.
Like it.
And his burst off the line, which are two things that you love.
That's quick off the line, and that means you can run routes pretty well because of the separation.
He's a burner. But there's two things that teams don't like, or scouts don't like about him right now. It's the fact that where he catches the ball, he tends to catch the ball in his body sometimes. Yeah. So he doesn't really attack the ball per se with his hands, and also his feet could be better. But I mean, hey, if you're 6'4" or whatever, I mean, you're that big, your feet are probably going to need some work, obviously. But Kelvin Benjamin, a guy that you compared him to, Benjamin ran a 4.68, and DK Metcalf is projected to run a 4.4.
So it's much more of a physical specimen, is what you're telling me, from an athletic standpoint.
Yes.
DK Metcalf.
God bless you, and we'll see. We'll see, man. Hey, that's fine. You can think that.
I'm going to be scared if I get DK Metcalf.
Okay. Well, then what? So you said some of his wide receivers. Is there anybody that really trips your trigger?
No, that's why I always started the week with the conversation of are they going offensive lineman or tight end?
Yeah.
Because I think you can. I don't think they're going wide receiver at number 7. I think they'll feel like you can get one at in the second round, even the third round. Mel Kiper just talked about Deebo Samuel, those kind of guys. I think they can get an impact player in the top 3 rounds at wide receiver, and they don't have to spend it at number 7. And keep in mind they have the luxury of the extra pick, at least for now, in the third round. So. Yeah, I don't think there's not a big part of me. Now, again, I've been the guy trumpeting they need one. So I'm just saying there's not a big part of my mind that feels like they're going to get a wide receiver. The other part about the wide receiver stuff for me, and this does enter in tight ends, is that they make for the most part now, you can give me examples of some guys that did, but they make very little impact, I think, their rookie seasons. I don't think they take a little bit to get going and come into their own and get adjusted to the NFL and learn the NFL playbook.
Some really don't get going at all ever. I mean, Corey Davis is a perfect example at Tennessee right now. He's had shines. You know, he's flashed glimpses of pretty great play, but from the overall product so far, Corey Davis hasn't really lived up to the expectations in Tennessee.
Now, you do have your studs that I think do deliver right away, and I don't have numbers in front of me, but if we go back and look at Julio Jones, we look at A.J. Green, and I know that most recently is Amari Cooper. Cooper had a nice rookie year, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think he did with the Raiders. It might have taken him 2 years now that I think about it. I can't remember.
Well, and the crazy thing with Cooper coming out was, and this is why you can't always put stake into what all these scouts are saying, because the big knock on Cooper was that, he was a route runner, but he wasn't really a burner.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I've seen him run away from people.
I was going to say, I watched a lot of Cowboys games last year, and the dude was wide open, burning down the field for, 70, 80-yard touchdowns a pop. So sometimes you can't really take into account what scouts always say.
Listen, I love the idea, okay? If they rate DK Metcalf I love the idea because he's 6'4", he's 230.
That's what I'm saying, Brent. He's a prototypical one receiver. He's the Calvin Johnson. He's the Julio Jones. He's that height. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Deebo Samuel. We talked about him at the Senior Bowl a lot, and he kind of balled out during the game. They tried to get him the ball a lot. Unfortunately, the balls weren't coming to him because the quarterbacks overthrew him a couple times. But he's a special player too. But you're talking about a guy who's about 5'10", 5'11", 215. And granted, I think he is physical enough to play that one spot, but. And call it me being old school and just stuck in my ways, but I like my one receiver to be a little taller.
Yeah, and you like your number one receiver to be a true number one. The problem is it's hard to find. And look at, two teams might be thinking about trading theirs away. Odell Beckham Jr. and Antonio Brown. Those two, so you either go by committee and you have kind of a 1A and another 1B and then a 1C
Chiefs,
rather than
Rams.
a 1-1-1. or you try to go get the number 111. And I don't think the one's there. I don't think the Julio Jones, the A.J. Greens, the Odell Beckham Jr. is there this year. I really don't feel it, which means the Jags are going to have to adjust, which also means the Jags should be taking a look at Antonio Brown, because that is a true number one. Hey, Kuz, before we head to break, one more thought from Mel Kiper, if we can. Drew Lock coming off the Senior Bowl. Did he help himself? Did he hurt himself? Let's hear from Mel Kiper on Drew Lock.
Well, it's what the mock drafts aren't what I see. It's what the NFL sees. It's a big difference. It's not me putting who I would take. It's what you're hearing from the people you speak to in the NFL, your sources there. So that's what you go by with mock drafts. And you hear some positive commentary. And I always, and in fact, 2 years ago, during the season, I got a call from a GM in the NFL saying, hey, the guy's got the best arm in college football. And he said, Drew Lock. And, or one of the best arms, the guy that really impressed him. And, of course, Josh Allen was still playing at Wyoming when the call came in about Drew Lock. So Drew Lock, when you have that kind of rare arm talent, to get to the second round, and like I say, you talk about Denver with John Elway. John Elway's going to love seeing that rocket arm. And Joe Flacco's going to be in the mid-30s. He's had the injury. So you could go out and get a Drew Lock. But I would say trade down from 10 maybe. I haven't won 15 to Washington. Some think he's a second-round pick, not a first-round pick. There was no built-in consensus on Drew Lock, as I said earlier. So, but that arm talent, the size, the arm talent, and the fact that he's experienced. He's coming out with a ton of experience. 4-year starter. That's rare to see a guy play as much football. And he didn't have Emmanuel Hall as top target for most of the year, and look what he did. He put up great numbers.
That's Mel Kiper Jr. on Drew Lock, quarterback out of Missouri. Interesting. Again, I'm not a huge Drew Lock guy coming out of the football season. Now, I go to the Senior Bowl Mobile. We talk about him a little bit, spend some time with him, very casual, like interview time, not a lot of time. But I'll tell you, he impressed me there. He impressed me. He caught my attention. And when you throw in a guy that's going to do well in the interview room these next couple weeks, next couple months, and then you talk about the arm talent, that's nothing to sleep on now. And to your point, to bring it back full circle, is it definitely Haskins or Murray, or does someone fall in love with a guy? Lock is the guy someone could fall in love with. I think you could do worse than getting Drew Lock. I really do.
Agreed. He's a quarterback that plays with a chip on his shoulder. A lot of people said he should come out his junior year. The NFL scouts said that's not a good idea, and it kind of ticked him off a little bit. And he, obviously came back his senior year. He's a guy that plays with that chip, and he's got a little, I don't want to say cockiness because that's too broad, but has a little moxie, has a little swag to him. Yeah, which I love
moxie,
in a quarterback.
And Mel Kiper just said it plays a lot of games. That's different than Haskins now.
True.
And Kyler Murray. He's got some experience.
A lot of film to analyze on him.
Teams love that. They really love that. Hey, when we come back, we go to Jacksonville University's campus. Action Sports Jack Stuart Weber just caught up with the legend Mike Martin. His baseball team in town to take on the Dolphins. Plus, stay in your lane. Next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
And now, a quick comparison from Grasshopper. When you're always on the go, what would you prefer? An office phone system?
Hey, it's Rochelle. Sorry I missed you earlier. Had an errand to run, but I'm back in the office, so give me a call when you get this.
Or one that works on your cell phone? No hardware needed, courtesy of Grasshopper.
Oh, one sec. It's a business call. Hi, this is Rochelle with Way Forward Partners. How can I help?
There's no contest. Put your best voice forward with Grasshopper, the virtual phone system for small business. Try it free at grasshopper.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the only $5 meal worthy of your appetite? Wendy's Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal. Our classic Junior Bacon Cheeseburger is now bigger, with double the fresh, never frozen beef and double the apple with smoked bacon. There's nothing junior about it except the price. Wendy's Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal comes with nuggets, fries, and a drink for just $5. Get the $5 Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Meal at Wendy's. Giant Meal, junior price.
At participating Wendy's for a limited time. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Hi, this is Stan Nagel for Energy Seal Foam Insulation. Summer's coming, guys. Remember last year when you were burning up and your electric bill was off the chain? Why not do something about it this year and call Energy Seal to come out and fix your home for you? This summer, cool off that bonus room and really be able to use it. Spray foam insulation really works. Call us today and save 25% off our summer rates. Call 888-306-3626 or look us up on the web, EnergySealToday.com. Call us now, 888-306-3626. We're Energy Seal, sealing in energy and saving you money.
Before the surgery, there's a lot of pain. Every time I would swim in a swim meet or any type of race or anything, I was like hunched over in pain.
Stetson Lang talks about her experience with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
And then after the surgery, I'm back to doing everything I used to do, and so I feel great now. I would definitely go back to Southeast Orthopedic. They really made me feel like I was welcomed and at home.
Get your body moving again with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Find out more at se-ortho.com.
The spread and that college-style offense. Listen, in 3 years, you might see the Big 12 be run by the NFL because it's the exact same kind of offense that's going on here.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Hope you're having a good day, everybody, here on a Wednesday in Jacksonville, Florida. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. A lot happening on this day, including the Florida Gators in action tonight in basketball. Florida Gators in action right now in softball. 1-0 lead over JU. We're going to head out to campus in just a bit. Action Sports Jacks Stuart Weber just caught up with Mike Martin, the hoop team at JU playing UNF in the River City Rumble. And we'll be over there for TV at 6:50 p.m. on Fox 30. So a lot happening, which I love here in town, and a lot happening right now on the show. Been talking a bunch of football right now. Hopefully you are staying in your lane at 5:15 on a Wednesday. I'm not sure if we can keep Austin Lane in his.
You sure can't. You can only hope to contain. Cruise control, stay in your lane. Well, today news will be announced tomorrow, hopefully, that one of the greats in the UFC, George St. Pierre, is retiring. And being from Canada and being at a hockey day, I'm going to say stick taps go out to GSP. Stick taps for GSP. It's a hockey term, Brent. Don't worry about it. But as far as GSP is concerned, George Rush St. Pierre, he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore. I know you love that term. He's on my Mount Rushmore of UFC fighters. Fans are going to remember him from, his fights with Matt Hughes, Josh Koscheck, BJ Penn. He had some battles with Matt Serra. Obviously, Matt Serra beat him in the beginning, ended up redeeming himself. But when I think of George St. Pierre and what he brought to the sport, I think of him as a true martial artist. Brent, if you noticed, I have a tattoo of a coyote on my arm. Do you know what the coyote signifies?
No.
So the coyote
I couldn't even come up with something smart.
Yeah, for sure, right? Drew a blank, kind of put you on the spot there. So in the United States, in every single state, there's a coyote. All right, so the coyote is one of the animals that has adapted to every one of the states in the U.S. Therefore, the coyote is probably the most adaptable animal in the whole wide world. Hence, adapt or die. And nobody adapted more than GSP. He was the first guy to kind of go out of his comfort zone and go to gymnastics, increase his flexibility, uses his athleticism in the cage. The first guy to really start using the jab to set up a takedown. The first guy to really have MMA wrestling, as they say, because he was never really a collegiate wrestler like some of these guys are. He's a guy that learned as he went on, and he used his athleticism to his advantage. So we're talking about GSP. Obviously, Brent, you've heard of him. I'm sure Kuz has heard of him, too. He's one of the legends of the sport. He will be missed. Hey, here's to what the next offering from him brings.
All right. That's Cruise Control.
Cruise Control, GSP. All right, pump your brakes. Time to get a little more intense in here, a little more ticked off in here. So I thought this article I'm about to talk about was fake. And I literally had to go on this website and the university. I looked it up and I did some research, and this is absolutely real. What I'm about to tell you actually happened. Cue my Alex Jones tirade in 3, 2, 1, because here we go. Emory University's Marketing Center. Better yet, don't pump your brakes. Get out of the car. Well, first of all, put it in park. Take the keys out of the ignition. Throw the keys in the bush and get out of the car, because your analytics class that you're having your students do is off the charts. Pump your brakes. Brent, get this. So during an analytics class here at Emory University in Atlanta, students were divided up into groups and asked to come up with ways to rebrand popular franchises. Okay, the top ones in each class or in each group would be named on, Twitter and Instagram and whatnot, and that therefore the general public could get behind these ideas and maybe push them to the teams, and maybe the teams would adopt the rebranding thing.
All right.
The ideas of these rebranding things are as follows. Number 1, they should change the name of the Nashville Predators to the Nashville SaberCats. Why? Because, and I quote from a student, the team needs to get away from the stigma that is associated with the word predator.
Oh, boy.
We're just getting started, Brent. Don't worry about it. Another one. They should change the name of the Los Angeles Raiders, soon to be Las Vegas Raiders, from Raiders because it's Pirates, and I guess Pirates can be offensive to some people. I don't know who. They should change them to a more grittier, and I quote again, Brent, this is not me talking, this is a quote from a student, a grittier, tougher name such as the Bandits.
Handkerchief and all.
Hey, and I know that Jacksonville fans are like, well, this doesn't really concern me, hockey and the Raiders. Hey, Jacksonville fans, I got you covered. Don't worry about it. Jacksonville Jaguars actually came up too. Brent, I will give you 5 guesses. If you can name the rebranding of the Jacksonville Jaguars, what they should switch to, I will give you $100. Assuming you haven't seen this article.
I haven't seen the article. Jacksonville Jaguars mascot new name.
Yeah, some students thought the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot didn't work, and they should rebrand it to be more successful. What was the term that they used? The new name of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They went Bandits, so it's not too far off Jaguars. Probably, I still think it's an animal.
It is not an animal.
It's not an animal.
Not even close to an animal.
The river something?
No. You're gonna
Okay, go.
Going. The Jacksonville.
Stuart Weber's on the line. Stuart, you got a guess?
No, I don't got a guess. I'm trying to shoot softball. I'm shooting softball. I can't do 2 things at once.
Come on, Weber.
This is creative, but it's stupid creative.
All right, what?
The Jacksonville FC. Because that way it could be a global brand. Well, the only problem with FC...
They're trying to get us to London.
Well, guess what? If you're in London and they don't call it, you know what I'm saying? It's called soccer. So, hey, students at Emory University, everyone pump your brakes. This story is going to go huge. Just wait. I broke it here first, and I've had enough of it.
Yeah, football club.
Yep.
So over here it's football.
Yeah.
Over there it's football club.
Football club. And the whole and I quote again, the term is because the Jacksonville Jaguars could stop being a small market team and increase their brand to an international level.
Where? With the Jacksonville FC.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
What would be the logo?
Brent, I didn't
It'd be
want
a
to
soccer type of logo.
I'm so disappointed in the new generation coming out. It's ridiculous.
Kids, you all fail.
Yeah.
Fail the class.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, Emory University, my son, Ronan Alexander, will not be attending any one of your classes coming up here when he's old enough. I'll tell you that much. I don't care if you got a good football team or not. He's not going there.
And Mr. Lane, we'll like to offer little Ronan a full ride. Okie dokie.
Nah, we're all good.
All right, Weber, speaking of colleges, they don't take those kind of classes at JU, I don't think. You're at a softball game. What's the score?
Well, we just ended the bottom of the first. Gators get a strikeout. I'm actually shooting it as I'm talking to you on the radio here. We're doing a little multitasking.
Impressive.
I was tired of waiting, so, as much as I love staying in your lane, had to do a little shooting here. So we got some highlights for tonight. Anyhow, so we're 1-inning into the books. It's 1-0 Gators. Amanda Lorenz led off with a home run, which I missed because Mike Martin was late. So there's that. You won't be seeing that on the news tonight. But you will see some other things. I'll come back to the softball here because this is, a packed house. Bleachers are full. People are everywhere. They're out on the berms in left field. It's the best game of the year. When you look at the schedule, you bring a national championship contender into the Oak Shroud at Arlington campus of Jacksonville University. That's the time to get excited. And for Gator fans who don't want to make that trip all the way out to Gainesville, they can come on over here and check them out against the JU Dolphins. And it's always a fun one. It's just crazy that it falls on what is now the biggest night of athletics for JU this year.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great illustration, by the way, with the oak shrouded trees and everything. I loved it. You talked to Mike Martin just a short time ago as well. Give us an update. By the way, the weather looks like it's holding, I guess, if they're still playing.
Yeah, it's gonna be in and out. There's gonna be little pockets of rain that's gonna come firing through here, and they tried to play through this first one. There was a couple runners on for Florida. They wanted to at least get the half inning done, but just couldn't do it. It was getting way too heavy, so we stopped for like 5 minutes and then popped back in. But back to Mike Martin. I mean, you talk about a guy who's done it all except for one thing, which FSU fans will remind you about. He's been to JU plenty of times, and this is his last time coming to JU. It seems like every year the Noles come out here and play baseball games. So pretty cool that Mike Martin's out here once again. And, you know, he was reminiscing about some of the good old days about actually playing here, you know, as a student athlete, which is way back when, of course, and just how far both the program has come and college baseball in general. So always great to kind of get his thoughts on that. And, of course, he's excited to come back again later on this season, play at the baseball grounds against the Florida Gators.
Yeah, there might be not a nicer man in sports than Mike Martin, and even rivals will say that. I think Jacksonville University is going to honor Mike Martin today before that baseball game. We'll have it covered. But does it feel like a victory lap for him? Did he give you any indication that it feels that way to him?
I didn't get that sense. I mean, I kind of got the sense that, you know, he's still very much invested in these kids on his roster this year. And, you know, he was spending a good amount of time getting that starting lineup ready and, you know, just staying focused on the task, on the game at hand. So certainly doesn't seem like it. I'm sure there will be moments where, you know, you kind of have to step back and look at all the great things that are happening where people are honoring you and things of that sort. But I didn't get that sense here. It is, of course, very, very early in the season, too. So I'm sure that plays a big role in it as well.
All
Gators,
right.
by the way, putting something together here. We got runners on first and third with nobody out. Florida going to try and extend their 1-0 lead here against JU.
Obviously, Florida fourth in the country, very good in softball. And then River City Rumble later tonight. So good stuff. One thing about the lineup for Florida State tonight, Alex Sanchez, young man out of Providence. He'll hit second. And J.C. Flowers from Trinity Christian for Florida State will also be in the lineup. Very good player in center field. So two local kids in the lineup for Florida State tonight against Jacksonville University. Should be a lot of fun out there. Stuart, we'll let you go, but word on the street, are you really going to a birthday party tonight?
Yeah, it's Garrett Beatonballs, man. We're gonna go out to Taco Lou. We're gonna have a good time, and we're gonna celebrate that young man and his 72 he bowled yesterday.
72.
I put that out on Twitter. He had a 72. That's not good.
This goes back to my conversation of yesterday. How old is Beatonball?
29.
Brennan's shaking his head right now as he's talking, by the way.
All right, Weber. Have fun.
I mean, you could say that, but it's about fun and frivolity and having some good times with your mates.
What's wrong with that, Brent?
Nothing.
What a hater.
Nothing. I mean, Weber had to work a day shift for this.
So be it. He's going to celebrate with his friends. That sounds like a great time. I don't know why you got to be so negative all the time.
Tell Beatonball happy birthday. Don't. Buy him a drink for me.
I will certainly do that.
Will you
okay,
buy
we'll
him
do.
a drink? You don't buy anybody drinks.
Now. No, I won't. You're right.
Stuart Weber out of Jacksonville University checking in from the softball. And there's baseball coming up at 6 o'clock. A couple of locals in the lineup for Florida State. And then the River City Rumble at 7 o'clock. We'll be out there as well.
So I know this is a sports show and everything, and we got to stay on topics and whatnot. But I think we need to dive a little deeper on what your hate for birthday parties is. Like, I picture like maybe you had a birthday party when you're maybe 8 or 9 years old and you had it at Chuck E. Cheese and nobody showed up, and this is why you hate birthday parties?
That's a good call. Like, I would consider that maybe did happen, but really I don't.
Are you sure?
I don't remember having a bad experience.
I'm just saying, this is a safe place here, Brent. If you want to get something off your chest, man.
I think it's
just me
probably
and you
more,
and the microphones.
It might even be more since I had kids where you got to spend like $500 on a birthday party.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just saying, if you want to talk, it's just me, you, and the hundreds of millions listening around the world.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, when we come back, if you missed our brief conversation, but a conversation with Tom Coughlin, we'll play that for you next and dive into that one more time here on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Happy birthday, Beatonball.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Aaron, and just the day after the Steelers agree that Antonio Brown needs to be shipped out of Pittsburgh, the team's now announced it won't be placing a franchise tag on Lev Bell, this making his exit from Steel City much easier. Lots of people are now looking at the situation, wondering what team president Art Rooney is doing.
The idea that this is in the best interest of the Steelers, how?
How?
How is it the best interest of the Steelers to lose a guy that has the only 6 straight seasons in NFL history with 100 catches, well over 1,000 yards each one of those years? He had 15 touchdown catches last year.
The UFC is losing a true class act. George St. Pierre says he plans to announce his retirement officially tomorrow morning from Montreal. GSP is 37 years old. When his bid to fight the current champ Khabib fell apart, he decided he needed to walk away from the sport. And finally, FSU cleans up against Clemson, 77-64. The win is extending the team record conference win streak to 8. Seminoles playing as good as basketball as anybody right now. Tonight on ESPN 690, Butler and Marquette meet in Milwaukee. Tip-off at 8:30.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jackson, ESPN 690. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville is the home of the North American Utility Vehicle of the Year, the 2019 Hyundai Kona. This new crossover utility vehicle is a perfect fit for a family who doesn't need as much room as the Hyundai Santa Fe, but more room than the Hyundai Elantra. Their customer service is top-notch at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville, and you never have to worry about a high-pressure, haggling sales approach to you buying a car. My friends at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville offer the no-risk, no-pressure approach. If you don't absolutely love your new Hyundai, you can bring it back within the first 7 days for your money back. They also offer a lifetime warranty that's good anywhere in the United States. Schedule a test drive today at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com or just swing by the showroom on Atlantic Boulevard. I'm confident your experience at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville will be just as good as mine has been. Tell them Brent Martineau sent you and drop me a line on social media. Let me know how your experience was at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville.
If Dell Demps had moved Anthony Davis as general manager for the New Orleans Pelicans, he would have been fired. You know, you had teams in smaller markets on the phone calling him, imploring him not to capitulate to the demands.
The Stephen A. Smith Show, weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m. on ESPN 690.
You watch Action Sports Jax on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Now Action Sports Jax is on your radio.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
Here's your host, Brent Martineau.
Welcome back here on a Wednesday. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and the Magic Whiteboard. I'm so delayed. Austin Lane, we're going to find out if you hit it in the right spot. The Swiss must have been pretty confident in their chances of victory if they included a corkscrew on their Army knife.
Right?
By the way, it is just showing up on the video now. There's a little delay on the video.
Okay.
So it is just showing up and it looks good.
Yeah,
You've got the right spot.
Yeah.
We almost need, you know, like how people put the tennis ball in their garage so they don't go too far? We almost need a little marker for you.
Yeah, like a marker for my arms or something like that. It's hard. It's not really, it's not all fun and games here in the studio. There's actually serious work going on here, too.
So like they were confident in victory, so they put a corkscrew because they wanted to celebrate with champagne? Is that
obviously, yeah,
right?
Or wine. Yeah,
wine.
I don't know what Switzerland does, but yeah, isn't that the obvious thing there in that quote, Brent?
It must be.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't disagree with you.
Yep.
The crazy thing is I haven't been able to disagree with you much on these Magic Whiteboard deep thoughts.
That's what I'm saying. I think we had one disagreement about, I forgot what it was.
But there's, and the beautiful part is you always say there's no lifeguard on duty, which means we don't have to employ a lifeguard.
We don't. Nope. Deep conversation. So bring your water wingies or whatever you got, or your little inner tube there if you want. But just don't drown, okay? Because we're not responsible in these deep thoughts.
Deep thoughts on the Magic Whiteboard.
Yeah.
Hey, we promised you we'll play back Tom Coughlin from earlier today. Here's the deal. Backstory, Tom Coughlin was at local hospital visiting kids like he does quite a few times during the course of the year. His Tom Coughlin J Fund. He's signing footballs, giving out some footballs. He's got the big wine tasting gala, him and the J Fund, coming up on March 8th. I don't know if that's sold out, but if it's not, I can tell you this. One of my favorite events of the year is that event. I'm not just saying it. I've been multiple times. I think it's really fun to kind of mingle between people and have some wine. Silent auction items are great. The food tasting from a variety of restaurants. So if you haven't checked it out, you really should go. It's one of those nights that, hey, you go for a couple hours and then go do something else. It's pretty simple. But if you haven't been, you really should go. The Tom Coughlin J Fund Wine Tasting Gala. That is March 8th, a Friday night. Hope to be there for that. But during today's event at the hospital, Action News Jax's Ben Becker was there covering the event. And, well, Ben, doing a good job helping us out. Asked a couple of football questions as well. Here's CBS 47 and Fox 30's Ben Becker's conversation with Tom Coughlin.
First off, just how important is a day like today to go around and make the rounds?
It's very important. It's very important on the part of the families to try to make them understand that the J Fund is more than just, someone who stands off. We're right here. We want to be there for you in every capacity. When they're in the hospital, I have to make you understand that what is received is more than what is given, believe me. Because when you come here to the hospital and you see the families and the way they literally live in the room with the child, with the sick child, it puts life into perspective.
touches you personally.
Touches you very much so personally. It makes you realize why we do this. And it goes all the way back to the very beginning, the objective, having been with the McGillis family when Jay passed away and knowing what they went through and all the time spent in the hospital, so on and so forth. So it just brings you back to the reality of that situation again, and quite frankly, makes you want to do and provide even more help than we do.
A couple football questions for you.
Well, that was a surprise.
So how excited are you to have Dom Capers back in the fold?
Very glad to have Dom with us. Dom was with us way back in the at the end of the 90s, and we had some success. We didn't get to where we wanted to go, but we were close. And his experience, his knowledge, his thoroughness, his detail is going to help the entire football organization.
A lot of stuff coming up, free agency, draft, that sort of thing. What's the mindset downtown at the building right now?
Everybody's full speed ahead, whether it be working on free agency, whether it be working on the draft, whether it be revitalization of the playbook, going over all the research that people are starting to develop and put together. It's a full speed ahead because this time of the year is the time when these decisions are made from a personnel standpoint.
Speaking of personnel, where are things with Blake right now?
Blake is the quarterback with the Jacksonville Jaguars right now.
That's Tom Coughlin with Action News Jackson's Ben Becker. Check out Action News Jackson, Ben's story on the Tom Coughlin J Fund, CBS 47. If you're getting home right now, CBS 47 and Fox 30 at 6 o'clock coming up as well. And then we'll have the reaction on the TV side of things because sometimes facial expressions matter when you're hearing quotes at 6:50 tonight on Fox 30 when we're live at JU in the sports part of our newscast. Okay, a couple of the biggest takeaway, the Blake Bortles things people will hook onto, and it was basically right now he's still the quarterback. That's because I haven't made a move. I don't think that's that surprising. I think it's always interesting to hear Tom Coughlin say anything because he doesn't talk a lot. And so he could have given Blake Bortles a ringing endorsement, had the opportunity to. That wasn't a ringing endorsement. That was, it looks like this thing will end the way we all predict that it will end. The other part, the middle question in there from Ben Becker, just about this time of year. And I thought it was interesting what Tom Coughlin said, and I'll punch it home with at Real MBB says, quote, revitalization of the playbook caught my ear. Hello, DiFilippo. And I think that's what caught our attention the most is the research being done and the revitalization of the playbook. What does that mean?
I think as far as the research being done is they're going to analyze all the plays that they ran last year, what plays were successful, what plays weren't, the down and distance in those plays and whatnot, and kind of come up with, listen, hey, when these guys were in, these plays worked out well the whole season. Let's stick with these plays. Let's stick with these formations. Let's stick with whatever. And then they're going to look at, okay, so these plays didn't work too well for whatever reason. Some guy made a mistake. Maybe against this coverage it didn't work too well. And they're going to throw those plays out. That's what that tells me. And this isn't something new, Brent. Like, teams do this every single year. They're going to watch the film from the previous year, see what plays went well, what plays didn't go well. So that's nothing new on that front. But it does make you wonder if they're going to adjust their offense a little bit and maybe go with, I guess you'd say, a more pass-first kind of offense, especially with John DiFilippo coming in. I mean, that's what one would think. Knowing Coughlin, though, and what he stands for, and even Doug Marrone, they've always been run-first guys. I'm a run-first guy, so we'll see what happens there. But listen, I've said it the whole show where the great coaches, the great leaders of a team can take what they have on their roster and make it work for them. A lot of times where you have coaches and you have problems is the fact that the coaches get stuck in their ways and they try to make the player adjust to their system. Stubborn. You can't do that. You make the system adjust to the players.
Well, it's interesting, too, because they will be watching not just their tape from last year, but I think they've got an eye on two other teams' tape. The Minnesota Vikings, DiFilippo with Kirk Cousins, 4,000 yards, 70% completion rate with Cousins, even though he ended up fired there. There was some success within that season, even though it wasn't an ultimate success for Minnesota and missing the postseason. And, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. Not necessarily because of Nick Foles, but one could link because of Nick Foles, but really because of DiFilippo and Peterson and what they did while in Philly. So I think that's the tape they're also keeping an eye on. At IMBWF says, can we capture lightning in a bottle twice, manage to get trade value for Blaine Gabbert? Maybe there's potential for Bortles. apples and oranges with respect to money, and that's what he just hit on it. Money's too big a difference there. I can't see that unless Blake would agree once he got traded to restructuring with the team. Maybe he would agree to go to a certain place. Who knows?
But I really want to drive this point home. The show's wrapping up pretty soon here. I want to drive this point home nonstop because it's important. We always talk about the Patriots and Bill Belichick and how he's kind of the old school philosophy guy. He's a guy that is kind of stuck in his ways, and that couldn't be any farther from the truth. I think sometimes with Bill Belichick, we get this perception of Bill Belichick because of the interviews that he gives. It's kind of the old school mentality. Doesn't really give a lot of answers. Doesn't seem like he's a real, like, a player's coach where he's kind of cold, kind of brash. But at the same time, the thing that Bill Belichick that no one talks about, which is probably his best coaching attribute, is the fact that he takes the players that he has and he puts it in the system. I mean, I remember, like, let's break down some of those guys on the team. Like, I don't see Van Noy starting on a lot of NFL teams on the defense, but balled out the whole playoffs and even the Super Bowl.
He played really well down the stretch.
But Kyle Bandenbosch is another one, a guy on defense who was a staple as an outside linebacker defensive end for years in that system. And I'm not just talking about defense either. I mean, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, I mean, Chris Hogan. I can go on and on. Like, he sees what he has. And granted, this is not just him. I mean, it's the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator as well.
Tom Brady.
And Tom Brady as well, too. But what makes the Patriots so great, and other teams, too, coming up now, like the Saints, especially Andy Reid with the Chiefs, is that they see the players that they have, and they get those players involved, and they form this system around the players, and that's what the Jaguars need to do.
I respect it. I just hate every comparison to the New England Patriots.
Well, then
they're
Chiefs,
just so different.
Chiefs, Saints, Rams,
Chiefs,
we can go on for days.
Yeah. Scott Adams says, with a new OC and presumably a new QB, I'm expecting more than a tweak in the offense. We asked that question, will we see a tweak? And it sure sounded like Tom Coughlin hinted that there will be a tweak in philosophy of some kind. How much in the end will depend on the offensive pieces put together, Scott Adams says, and I couldn't agree more with that. You better go get some playmakers on the outside, tight end and wide receiver. Rick says, keywords, quote, right now from the top dog on Blake Bortles. And that's what Tom Coughlin said, right now. And we all know where that's most likely heading. When we come back, one more segment to go on a Wednesday. Hot takes. Coos, bring it on, baby. Next on ESPN 690.
News 104.5 WOKV is now exclusively on 104.5 FM. News 104.5 WOKV is where you'll find the latest breaking news, First Alert Storm Center coverage, and traffic alerts. 690 is where you'll find the home of the worldwide leader in sports, ESPN 690, featuring Golick and Wingo in the morning, Dan Le Batard, and Stephen A. Smith. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. This is ESPN 690.
Do you know a child that is deaf or blind? The Florida School for the Deaf and Blind in St. Augustine offers a tuition-free educational program to prepare the child for a lifetime of success. FSDB offers free comprehensive education, transportation, and boarding services at no cost to all eligible deaf or blind students elementary through high school, no matter where you live in Florida. Call 800-344-3737 or log on to www.fsdb.k12.fl.us to find out more.
I'm Josh Scobie, proud supporter of the Guardian Catholic Schools, where we believe that every child deserves access to a quality faith-based education. For over 22 years, Guardian Catholic Schools have served as a critical, high-impact presence within Jacksonville's educational landscape. From our highly acclaimed Early Learning Center and K-8 classrooms, every student is prepared with critical thinking skills and confidence as our educators build a foundation for their lifelong success. In fact, more than 90% of our alumni go on to graduate high school, higher than our local and state average. All students attending Guardian Catholic School receive some level of financial assistance. Regardless of where they begin, we know that all children can be successful. For more information on how you can help protect the potential of these bright students, visit GuardianCatholicSchools.org or call 904-765-1920 to schedule a tour. Guardian Catholic Schools, protecting potential.
Sports Center updates at the top and bottom of every hour. And the latest breaking news in sports around the clock. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. This is ESPN 690.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
I get a lot of conversation on social media, all the different platforms. You can see us, of course, on ESPN 690, on the Facebook page, at Brent A.S. Jacks, on Twitter, at our YouTube channel, at Action Sports Jacks, and you can see the video, play along with us, the magic whiteboard. What does it say right now?
Happy Hump Day, homies.
Ooh, Hump Day!
Little alliteration for you guys.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Plus, the use of the word homies is underused all of a sudden.
Isn't it?
Used to be overused, now it's underused.
Oh, I always use it. I call all my friends homies, male or female.
You can also check us out on Twitch, by the way, if you do that, on ESPN 690 Jacks. And then we've got a variety of platforms, including the phone number 904-362-9901. We do the new thing, and we do the old thing here on ESPN 690. And one more reminder, on Wednesday, get your Players' Championship tickets. All you have to do is go to ESPN690.com. The Captain's Club at the Players. Want a pair of weekly passes, go register on ESPN690.com. Our new website is up, and you can go for the week. Bring a buddy, bring a friend, bring a significant other to the Players' Championship. All right, hot take time, Coos. Are you ready? Did you do your homework?
I did do my homework. I remember yesterday we were going to do a bunch, and I told you I was going to save them, and then I deleted them all. So these are new ones.
That's okay. You didn't have to tell us that.
I came in, I was like, I definitely deleted those. But it's all right. These are good ones, too. Actually, first hot takes coming from the stream earlier today. It was a comment said, what hurt the Jags the most was letting Hearns and Robinson go.
It's a good thought. Listen, I love Allen Hearns. I think he meant a lot to this team in a variety of ways. But let's not go crazy with the Allen Hearns part of this. The Jags would be fine without Allen Hearns. He's done an okay job in Dallas. I think he's a good player. He's a great story. Great story. Tough dude. Absolutely loved him covering him here. I don't know how you can say anything different. I think a lot of people in Jags Nation, if you will, loved him too. A lot of great things to say. Too unfortunate at times how much he got injured. But he battled, and don't ever forget that play in 2017 when he got off that field against the L.A. Chargers. Were they San Diego at the time? They might have been. But he got off the field in time and saved the game against the Chargers in that moment. So he had some memorable moments, including the Buffalo Bills in London, and had a 10-touchdown season. But that's not the game changer. The game changer to me, potentially, we'll still see how this thing plays out, is Allen Robinson. Because he was, if not a bona fide number one, I think you can certainly argue that. He was the closest thing the Jags had to it and might get to it for some time. We'll see what they do in the draft. We'll see who else they pick up. Go trade for Antonio Brown. If they don't do anything to go get a number one, in quotes, kind of receiver, well, then Allen Robinson is the closest thing to it. Marquise Lee's not going to fit that bill. D.D. Westbrook, I don't think, will do it. DJ Chark will not do it. I don't even know if one of these rookies you pick in the second round, third round will be able to fit that. I think Allen Robinson was on his way to being at least in that conversation. So I'll come with you. Allen Robinson, definitely the lack of Allen Robinson and that guy leaves the Jags now searching for that guy.
Without a doubt. And kind of like you said, nothing against Allen Hearns at all. His story is fantastic. I wish him nothing but the best as he's, rehabbing that knee and whatnot from the brutal injury he had this past season for the Cowboys. So I wish Allen Hearns nothing but the best. But when you look at Allen Robinson, that was a true one receiver that we let go. Allen Robinson was a problem. Teams had to game plan for him because why? I mean, he had the ability to just literally go up and every time Blake Bortles threw a jump ball, you had a feeling Allen Robinson was going to go get it.
Yeah.
And that's the quarterback's best friend if you can do that. And that's why Blake Bortles had so much success at the same time as well. Now, I understand Robinson had an injury, a pretty serious one, ACL, and the Jaguars were kind of hesitant about re-signing him. Listen, I don't know what was offered, what wasn't offered. Really don't know those details and whatnot. He ended up going to Chicago and had a pretty good season for the Bears. Missed a few games, like 3 or 4 games. But I remember watching that playoff game where he went off for 130 yards and a touchdown. That's a guy that the Jaguars could use right now, especially if you have Marquise Lee playing that 2 spot and you have a fast D.D. Westbrook maybe playing a 3 or put Lee at the 3 and D.D. at 2. I feel like if Robinson was here, you could do a lot of crazy things with it. So
one more note on that. The Allen Robinson front, if you want a little more background, we had a great conversation with him at the Super Bowl, and that wasn't on our part. It was really on his. He was very open and discussed the last couple of years here in Jacksonville going forward. And the one beautiful thing about the podcast and Facebook and the YouTube and Well, Twitter too, but probably the easiest way to go find it is YouTube and our YouTube channel at Action Sports Jacks, and you can go find our interview from that date. It was the Friday of Super Bowl week.
Yep.
And you can see it if you didn't see it and never caught it. So you can always go into the archives, if you will, here on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
And the other thing with the descriptions for the podcast as well, we'll put in, all the interviews that you guys talked to. I put it in there so you can, read the description. If it says Allen Robinson, we talked to him in that one.
There you go. What I was wondering about on that Friday, did we have the podcast up and running yet during Super Bowl week? I wasn't sure. So I know you can find it on the YouTube channel if not.
Yeah, if not, definitely on the YouTube. All right, so question number 2, Russell Wilson, or hot take number 2, Russell Wilson would be a great fit for the Giants.
Russell Wilson would be a great fit.
Yeah, these are the coolest takes I've ever heard.
Well,
this is a talking point that's been happening today.
Okay, but let's just not say, Russell Wilson could probably fit in a lot of places.
Of course.
But is there 0% chance or 100% chance of something like that happening? And I got to believe Seattle, how old is Russell Wilson now? 29?
I think he's a little older than that.
Is he even older than that?
I'm 31. He came out right during, I think he's like in his 30s.
Okay, so early 30s. Might be 30, 31.
I guess
30 years old.
He's 30?
Okay.
So 29 was close.
Born in 88.
So is 31.
So 30 years old. He's got a year left, I think, on that deal. And then they're going to have to sign him for a ton of money. And we know what quarter. It's a great. This is why it's a great question. If you're Seattle, you give him $30 million a year. Again, I think they gave him like 25 last deal. But if you give him $30 million for the next however, do you run into a situation like Aaron Rodgers and the Staffords of the world and all the money that you're spending that you can't spend in other positions?
But look who we're talking about. We're talking about Russell Wilson, and who you said on many times is the ultimate team player. He's a locker room guy. Could you see him maybe taking a pay cut or restructuring that contract to help out his team a little more? But before you choke on a Cheez-It?
That was choking a comment on the pay cut. No, it was actually a legit joke. I don't know where that comes from sometimes. Just bam. But it's a good thought. Like Brady, you're saying. Brady was, around $15-16 million this year, and he's been able to do that. I don't know. But I still think you can't risk trying to replace Russell Wilson. And so you have to take the chance that he's either going to restructure down the line or you're going to be able to find a way to win big with him at quarterback and making $30 million. You can't take the chance. The alternative is not good.
But I will say this, though. Can you imagine Russell Wilson, Barkley, and Beckham Jr. on the same team? I mean, the way Russell could extend the play, obviously having Beckham Jr. there helps that out. And with Barkley as the X factor, man.
I mean, look at the stats. Eli Manning, everybody says, is terrible now and can't play anymore. The stats that they had on offense last year were not atrocious.
No, they weren't
In
bad.
fact, they were pretty darn good at times. And if you throw a Russell Wilson in his prime in there instead of an aging Eli Manning, wow. But again, if we're talking percentages, I think Russell Wilson, every team would take him. I think if we're talking percentages of that happen, I'd put it in the single digits.
Yep.
Hot takes over?
I guess so. Kuz is distracted.
No, we're good. We're just talking some schematics over here.
Oh, okay.
I got.
Are we going to run the 4-3, the 3-4? We're doing the zone defense man to man.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if I want to do this next hot take's kind of a two-parter, you know?
I do 2 parts.
All right. So the entire statement is: if the Jets pounce on Bell, the AFC East will instantaneously become the toughest division in football. And then in the after comments, which is the other part I wanted to bring up, they claim that Bell on the Jets would be Super Bowl contenders.
Whoa. All right.
Go ahead, Brent.
Let's go. Well,
you wanted a hot one. I gave you a hot one.
That's a
This
hot
is a
take.
ludicrous,
No,
yeah.
actually, hey, listen, wait, maybe not. Maybe not.
All right, Brent,
Part
let's see.
1 is a no-brainer. Part 1, to me, I've already told you guys, I think the NFC West is primed to be the best division in football. Now, I get what you're saying about the Arizona Cardinals. It doesn't matter. They're so top-heavy with the 3 other teams that could go to the Super Bowl, like you legit could send them to the Super Bowl, that I'm putting the NFC West as the best division in football. And there's some others that can rival it, but I'll take the NFC West in terms of in my pool of somebody making it to Super Bowl 54 in Miami. The second part of that question, the Jets, could they make it to Super Bowl 54 in Miami if they had Le'Veon Bell?
Sam Darnold at quarterback.
I'd say
Sam Darnold at quarterback.
I'd give him a chance.
Oh, jeez.
I'm guessing Austin's a no.
Okay, are you done, or do you want to keep on going? I mean, back that up. Okay, we have a minute. Here, Brennan, back that up quick so I can just come out and knock you out here.
They have a lot more money than just what they'd spend on Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
Could they also get another playmaker on offense? Darnold has shown signs. I think Sam Darnold is good. I think he's going to be good. I think you're going to see a big leap from year 1 to year 2. And the defense there is pretty good, man. I mean, Leonard Williams, the secondary they have, their defense is a top 10 defense. And then you if the Gase-Darnold marriage works, I think there's a ceiling there. So I like him as a sleeper. I'm not sitting there saying they're a favorite, but I wouldn't rule him out as a sleeper in the AFC East to take a big jump in 2019. And if you do that, you unseat the Pats somehow, you're in the tournament somehow, you got a chance.
Brent took one look at Adam Gase's eyes and got intimidated and picked the Jets. And that's cool. Hey, so getting back to the first question, are they the best team or the best division in the NFL? No, I agree with Brent. NFC West is for sure. The Rams, Seahawks, and the 49ers. And the Cardinals, we don't know what they're capable of yet. New coach coming in, Kingsbury, might make things a little interesting. The AFC East, the Bills, Dolphins, nope. Jets, And my point of getting back to why the Jets won't go to the Super Bowl with Le'Veon Bell. Sam Darnold, decent quarterback. I'll give it to him. That's fine. Robbie Anderson, who else do the Jets got? Are they going to throw it a curse? I doubt it because I'm
live from Jacksonville University at 6:50. Tune in to Fox 30. Hopefully you can check out the podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Have a good night.
Specialist because of the reputation of the different surgeons and the hospital experience, and just overall I'd heard so many great things, and truly my life is enriched tenfold because now I can do anything.
Get your body moving again with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Find out more at se-ortho.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau of Action Sports Jacks, and if you're considering buying a new car, I want you to go talk to my good friends at the new Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. They have raised the bar for customer service, and you'll be happy you went to Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. Their no-risk, no-pressure approach really sets them apart. Imagine buying a new Hyundai Santa Fe, but then thinking to yourself, maybe we don't need that much room in the family. Well, you could buy that new slick Hyundai Accent instead. And with Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville's no-risk, no-pressure approach, you could bring that Santa Fe back to the dealership in the first 7 days for your money back. No pressure whatsoever. Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville also offers a lifetime warranty that is good anywhere in the United States. The Hyundai you want